comic book gurus? It's your boy Razor Comics, and this is Late Night After Hours live with your boy Razor Comics. And tonight we have a special Late Night After Hours. That's right, it's a special. What kind of special, you say? Good question that you asked. I have Nyobi Comics, the creator of Nyobi Comics, the mind, the myth, the legend, Larry himself. He is here tonight, and guess what? He has a sick cover, bro, for your boy Razor Comics, and you know I love me some sick covers, bro. Hey, Razor. Fucking guy. What, bro? What? When are we going to get to see Nyobi, man? Some boobies, bro. We're going to see Nyobi tonight. I don't know if you got any boobies. We're going to do that Saturday, but we do have Nyobi. We got issue number 4. Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4. That's right. 4. Please hit that number again. I want to dial 674. Please repeat that number again. 4. That's right. Issue number 4. We're having exclusively here tonight on Razor Comics. That's right. I got the exclusive. Razor Comics has the exclusive when it comes to the covers. I have Nyobi here tonight. Larry from Nyobi Comics. I also have Mad Monkey Love, Lock Win himself, the actual artist behind the cover. We're going to talk to him a little bit later. But first, we're going to bring on Nyobi from Nyobi's Comics, Larry from Nyobi's Comics, a friend of mine, a friend of the channel, a friend of the shoe. And we have a really big shoe for you tonight. We're going to talk to him. We're going to hang out. So do me a favor, brew up the coffee, get your bags and boards loaded up, because we're going to have a good time on this Thursday night, the eve of your boy's birthday. What? Say it again. The eve of your boy's birthday. What? Say it a little louder. No, I said it twice. I'm good. I'm good. So thank you for stopping by tonight. We're going to have a good time tonight. We're going to party, hang out. Let's bring to the stage my guy, my friend, your friend. Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the fucking show.
Larry from Nyobi Comics. How you doing, my guy?
Good, bro. That's a lot of big shoes to fill, you know?
Wow, you could fill them. If anybody could fill them,
I got small feet, though, you know? You know what they say about guys with small feet, right?
Well, you know, they have a big complex.
Good.
Hey, brother, I want to thank you for taking time out of your night, your day, whatever the fuck time it is in Canada, to stop by my little channel here, just actually hang out, answer some questions, and later on show off the actual cover that everybody came to see. So thank you for spending some time with your boy Razor Comics.
Well, thank you for asking me to come by. I mean, normally on a night like tonight, we would just be sitting in what we call the off air, basically a back room, not live, just me and, you know, the crew, and we would be working on comics or goofing off or playing video games. So, I mean, you didn't interrupt anything important, you know.
That's a good old Marvel Rivals going on.
Yeah,
right.
That's it.
Who's your character right now that you're playing with?
So I got a few, and I've been experimenting with a few, but I mean, it's Magic is my main. Okay, she's my main DPS, damage girl. Luna Snow, God, I love Luna. She's the healer that I'll play.
Yeah, I'm hearing good things about her. Like that's her and Magic are kind of the famous or not popular characters right now.
And then if I play tank, it's Captain America. He's pretty badass in the game.
Nice.
And then other go-tos, a couple other characters I like is Star-Lord. He's pretty OP, you know what I mean? Susan Storm is pretty cool, you know.
Has that been taking up a big chunk of your time, is playing Marvel Rivals? Is that the game right now that's the #1 game that everybody's playing basically?
Initially when it came out, yeah. But now I sort of like log in for maybe an hour a night and I'll just do my quests and unlock my stuff. Right now, the game that's really sucking up my soul is Stellar Blade.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
How many hours you got in?
I think I got like 90 so far.
Okay, that's not bad. That's not bad.
I'm only halfway through the game. Like I'm sort of meticulous with this game because I want to find all the hidden suits and all the hidden gear and shit's everywhere, man. You know, if anyone out there knows Stellar Blade, then you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Well, I did bring you here to talk about Stellar Blade. I brought you to talk about your comic book, man. Issue number 4. That's going to be coming out. You're the reason why we're having you on this show today. If you're just stopping by, Darth Lopez is in the house. GT Key Comic.
Yeah.
We got Lockwin in the chat.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lisa, for dropping the links like she always does.
Appreciate that. Yeah.
This year, vote Lisa moderator. Let's get her an award. Doesn't matter if it's from Brian. Let's get her nominated. Thank you again for dropping the link. If you're just joining us, I got Nyobi, Larry from Nyobi Comics for talking about video gaming. We're going to get into his
Yeah, I'm
Nyobi
here to,
Comics number
talk
4.
whatever you want to. I'll answer any question you have for me.
Good, man, because I got questions for you.
I
The
mean,
main
on
question
your
I
Razor
have,
Comics, I wouldn't expect it any other way.
right? Main thing I want to know is what influenced you in the first place to write a comic book. What actually influenced you to say, hey, you know what? I can do this.
Well, that goes back to just being a fan as a teenager, right? I'm sure any teenager who ever drew or was a good storyteller probably had it in their brain at one point or another, even if it was just for 5 minutes. Hey, I would love to do this for a living, you know? So it really starts there. Niobe, though, the character itself was created in an RPG game called Heroes Unlimited.
Okay.
So like Dungeons and Dragons, but for superheroes, right? And me and my group of friends would play for a couple of decades with these characters, telling our own stories, doing our own adventures. And one day I was sitting around the table, and this is many moons after. I'm like, we've been doing this for like 20 years, boys. How come we're not making a comic book? How come we're not taking these characters that we've created and basically invented a whole universe of and not doing something with it? And I got laughed out of the room. You can't make a comic. You're not going to make a comic. What? I heard it all. So I went ahead and made a comic. 10 years later, I was
So
still doing it.
so the baseline was already there. The characters from the game was already there. It wasn't like you had to come up with the idea. The idea of Niobe in the universe was already there because of the video game.
No, because of an RPG game, like a tabletop
RPG.
role playing
Excuse
game.
me. RPG game. I apologize.
Well, there's no video game to it. It's like completely your imagination. So,
So explain
know,
that to us. Because
so
obviously I
like
was
you make the
incorrect.
character, you have stats. It's like D&D, you have what's called a game master or a dungeon master, and they sort of unveil the adventure. Here, I'll give you an example. Let's say, Razor, you are a hobbit. Okay. You're a short hobbit. Okay. And you are level 1. And I say, Razor, you just step outside, and right now your whole village is being attacked by goblins. There are 2 goblins in front of you. You are armed with a short sword. What do you do? Now you got to tell me what you do.
I flee.
Okay, great. Why don't we make an athletics check? Roll your d20. Critical success. So you've double your speed, Razor. You're a fast little hobbit. You dodge behind a house. These goblin guards are kind of around looking for you. Now you got to roll a hide check. Uh-oh. They spotted your big feet sticking out from the garbage can. So they're coming your way. I mean, that's Dungeons and Dragons, right?
Love it, man. So you had a whole universe already played, like kind of like around the D&D
but we have
universe.
to make our own universes and our own characters, and and that just all that gathers in time, right? Yeah, happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that. So that's cool. So you got this. I'm guessing this was a collective. This wasn't just your idea. This are your characters, or what were they your characters when you came?
Niobe is mine. Yeah. Other people that were playing in the game made their own characters, right? But I took my character and said, I'm going to make a comic with my character.
Now, can you give us the name of the characters? I know Niobe is the main character. My favorite, because I don't know who they are just by looking at them. I know Adana is my favorite, but can you give us the name of the characters and kind of a little synopsis or background, if you will, please?
Sure. If I knew that was coming up, I would have had like a little slideshow ready for you.
That's okay, man. I put
So Niobe's the main character, right? She's the pop star. She's half Japanese, half American, and her powers are teleportation. The girl on the other side of my avatar there, the one in the pink with the cat ears, that's Catcall. She's a human, and she gets her abilities, cat-like abilities, through the suit that she wears.
Okay. That's dope. Okay.
Okay. She's Niobe's best buddy. Now, you mentioned Adana. She is basically like a low-level Supergirl type, so super strength, super endurance. She can fly, but she's got a bad attitude. She's she's a villain, right?
Yes.
So then you have Sybil, and she's the girl that you'll see in our comics that's dressed all in blue, and she wears this funky armor that looks like it's straight out of the game Destiny. She's our Jean Grey level telepath. Okay.
Nice.
Okay.
Got it.
Then we have the winged angel girl. Her name is Ariel, and she's not a hero, but she's not a good guy. She's sort of like a religious fanatic, so she does what she thinks is right, which often puts her in conflict with everybody.
I like it. Okay.
Then we
See,
have
that's good.
Kidman Drake. She's the girl you'll see in the comics if anyone's read them with the golden arm, and she runs like this big, huge Tony Stark like enterprise. Big fucking techno empire, if you will. And her power is she can manipulate machines, so she can infiltrate this live stream if she wanted to and take over.
She's Skynet, but hot.
She's Skynet, and she's a villain. She's not the
I
good
like
Tony
that.
Stark.
That's a good idea, man. I like that one. That's a good idea.
And I mean, there's other characters too. I mean, we've probably got at least a dozen characters, half heroes, half villains, couple that walk in between that we've introduced into the Darth Lopez will love this, the multiverse so far, if you will, right?
Yes. Yeah. Now
And
let,
there's
let me
more
ask you.
coming. Like in Outbreak 4, we introduce a new character who's a kind of think like Black Canary. Her name is Sonica, and she has a powerful sounding voice.
Cool.
So
Cool.
she'll
Now
be
I,
making her debut.
I want people to go out and pick up the first couple issues. I know you have a couple of different, I think what's a different issue one, different issue twos. So I don't want you to give us any spoilers, but can you give me like a little bit, because I haven't read issue
Yeah.
one or issue two. So if you can give us just a little bit of where we're at without spoiling anything in the
Okay, well,
Nyobi
so
series.
we've rebooted Niobe. Okay, it's underneath what I would call a soft reboot. So the first 4 issues, 1, 2, 3, and 4, that were done pre-pandemic. Okay,
Okay.
were all black and white, and then we did like a one shot for a villain character. During the pandemic, we kind of hit the reset button, and we decided that we're going to bring in a different artist, and that we were going to go color. We are going to bring in a different letterer. Okay, like we were going to completely change everything that we were doing because we saw potential in it. It was either I could continue as like this is just a local comic, black and white, made by a couple of local guys and sell at a couple of local shows and call it a day, or I can really try and make a run and see how far I can push this book. So that
Right.
required a lot of, we knew how to mold the clay and we
Sure.
molded it once, but we can mold it so much better now. So why don't we do that? Start over. And we did that with Birthright. That was the first comic we put out in color, Birthright 1 and 2. Then we did Niobe Origins, which was like a 36-page one shot. Now we're doing a mini series called Outbreak. So there's 1, 2, 3, and now we're working on number 4 of Outbreak. So anything in color is considered G2 Niobe. Anything that was in black and white is G1. And G1, while some of that stuff still matters and counts, it's kind of just like you don't need to know it or read it to be involved in Niobe because we shift gears from some of the stories that we're going to tell with G1.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Let me pull this up for you guys. That way you guys could kind of have a visual of what I'm looking at. So give me 1 second. Let me get this pulled up.
So that's the eBay. Oh no, that's the Shopify store.
I was looking at this earlier. So this is Larry's Shopify store at Niobe Comics.
Yeah.
And cool covers, man. Sick covers. So if you guys haven't picked up any of the covers yet, you want to get caught up with the story, or you just like me and you like some sick covers, go ahead and take a look at the shop when you get a chance. This is the link. It's Niobe Comics. It's Shopify.com.
Yeah, my Shopify.com.
Right. Okay.
We also have the
check
eBay store. So what's on the Shopify store is more like our cover A's and sort of like the
This is
more
a sick one. The Birthright foil cover is one of my favorites.
yeah,
Let's take a look at this
that's
earlier.
there. I only got a handful of those. I think there's only 5 listed there, maybe 10, and that's it.
Really nice,
Yeah,
man. Good
those
for
are
you,
full
brother.
foils. So that's Birthright number 1. It's a 2-part miniseries.
Yeah, check
That
this out, guys. This is sick, bro. Niobe, this is Birthright takes us on a whirlwind journey throughout turbulent times as Niobe defends a young woman from the hostility of a spiteful, ignorant mob looking to strip her of her rights.
yeah, say
Tension
that 5
heat up.
times fast.
An extremely complex situation of the day beats
Baby,
surrounding genomes And it's now
Genomes,
up to
yeah.
Niobe to
Genetic
try and sort it out.
anomalies. Basically,
Genetic
my
anomaly.
term I use for mutants.
Yeah, man, this is really nice. This is the foil. This is available now at the store. Check it out, guys. A lot of sick artwork. Interiors look really cool. If you get a chance to actually read the stories, one thing that I like about it is the different characters. My guy Locke Wynn actually is working on some of the cards here for the characters.
Yeah,
And I know you have something coming out maybe in February around cards and a set exclusively
yeah,
signed by you and Locke. You
yeah.
might want to talk about that, a little bit of that that's coming out. Do you know when exactly that's coming out and what exactly we're going to get if we invest into this little project you got coming out in February?
So the way it works is we'll do a Kickstarter first for every release, and we're looking at Valentine's Day for Outbreak number 4. We've already got 6 pages done. We got all of our covers done, so we're well on our way to meeting that. When we launch on February, we are going to do a original art sketch card set. There's going to be 5 cards in this set, all drawn by Locke, all featuring different characters from Niobe's world. Okay, they're one of a
Nice.
kind. They're not like something we're printing out and sending in mass. If you want one, you have to be quick when we launch this thing, and we'll show off the cards when we bring Locke on. Um, they're really really nice. You know, they come in a case. They got a nice label. They're back of the card is signed by both me and the artist. And when you get the card, you're also going to get the book that comes with the card with the cover by the artist, right? So you get one of the lock cards in the Kickstarter, you're getting his Outbreak 4 cover along with the other tchotchkes and stuff.
That's awesome, bro. I'm a guy who loves a cool trading card, and I'll be honest with you. There hasn't been a lot of projects that I've backed, like I've personally backed, where I said, "Oh yeah," I've always said, "Oh yeah, that's sick, man," and, can't wait to see it come out, and I've totally haven't backed shit. I'm backing this because I love trading cards. I know Locke. He's a great artist. Mad Monkey Love. Check him out on Instagram. I've seen some of the artwork. I can't wait for it. So that's definitely something that I'm personally going to look to purchase to put my money behind because I know that it's a good product. Locke actually has some really cool cases that he's going to be putting in him. You're going to be signing them yourself. They're going to be
Yep.
one of one cards. They're really cool, man. And as
Yep.
I understand it, are you going to have like maybe a lineup of different artists that'll be coming in? Like you said, will each artist be able to kind of expand on the their own idea behind what your character
Yeah.
should.
I mean, the idea is we're going to test run it with Locke, but I think they're going to be a really big hit. When you guys see the cards, you'll probably agree with me. And we work with a lot of top name talent. I can't guarantee who will or who won't do cards, but we're asking everyone. I asked John Stinsman today, who used to do Evangeline and Team Youngblood. He works with us. Might get him to do something. He wants to do sketch covers, but not cards. But either way, we'll have John maybe do a sketch cover that we can put up. Our boys that we have in the crew, like Christian and Pete and Warren Brown. Good independent artists. We're going to give them sets. But I'm going to ask other people. I'm going to ask Greg Bo Watson. I'm going to ask, whoever it is that we're working with, if they're interested in doing some cards for us, we'll definitely do that.
Yeah, man, that's awesome, bro. I'm so happy for you, man. I'm happy for you. I'm happy for we got Comic Journey in the house. Shout out
Yeah.
Comic Journey, who his project just started, just dropped. So check him out as well. It's cool, man, to know that I even was on Instagram the other day, and I came across, we're on eBay rather, and I came across your book, and I
Yeah.
wasn't looking for your book. I
Yeah.
forgot what I was looking for, but I was in some seller store where I was buying a couple of new comic book day books, and I came across one of your covers, man, and I
Yeah.
thought it was so cool, bro. I took a picture of it, I shot it to you. I go,
Yeah.
check this out. I know this fucking guy right here.
Yeah. I mean, when we talk about being published and being in stores, we're just not just tooting our own horn. We actually are published and in stores, and you will see these things randomly out and about. Like,
How does that make you feel though? Is that when you see, randomly your book just
yeah.
on sale in somebody else's seller store
Yeah.
that's actually selling your book, trying to make a little bit more money,
Yeah.
how does that make you, is that a kind of feeling do you have, man? I can imagine.
Secondary market's good for comics. It provides a way for people to get a comic maybe when they didn't hear about it when it first came around. Maybe they don't have a store. Maybe they just saw the cover, go, oh, that looks cool. I want that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it feels good to know that they're out there and that people, like I always every now and then I'll go to eBay, I'll type in Niobe, and I'll look at the sold listings because I like to know what my comics are going for. You know what I
That's
mean?
cool. Hell yeah, bro. Who wouldn't,
Because,
man?
I run an eBay store and I'll sell them, right? And here's the
Yeah.
thing though, if I find someone selling a Niobe book that I just think is way too high, well, I kind of know the guy that's got a bunch of them in stock and he can undercut that price anytime he wants. That's me.
And I gotta be just it's gotta be just like a surreal feeling to know that your comic book is out there, that people know about it, they can pick it up, not just on your store, but at other eBay sellers.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. I've never thought that I would actually do something that somebody's actually interested in pay money for, other than, maybe selling dope. So
Well,
for you to
it
put
was
something
comics are
creatively
dope. I had to
together.
make a decision. You know what I mean?
So for you to make a creative something that you can put together creatively and use your artistic ability and your pastime for love for comic books, gaming, D&D, put that
Yeah.
together and actually not put it out. That's the hard thing. It's not just sitting in on your table and writing it. It's, oh, this is a cool idea, but actually formulating a plan, a structure, executing said plan, actually getting it out there. There's a lot that goes to it. I'm sure CJ could even talk about this. It's not
Yeah.
easy to actually execute, write it, put it together, find the artist, get the money to back it, get it published,
Yeah.
get it out, printed. I got to imagine that there's a lot of logistics that goes behind getting a comic book out. It's just not here. I'm going to write this cool story.
Yeah.
Let's, my buddy's going to draw it and let's get it out.
Yeah, I mean, you can do it that way, and that's how we started. But if you want to talk finances and logistics, yeah, I mean, for us to put together one issue of Niobe is about $6,000, right? And that's doing it on a budget. That's for the pages being drawn, that's for them to be colored, and that is for a handful of covers on a reasonable end. I've gone over that budget a few times. When we hire Jamie Tyndall and cats like that, they come with a pretty hefty price tag, but they're worth it. If we have the extra money and we can bring in someone like that, we will. If the budget's a little tighter, then we stick with sort of the people that we normally work with. But every now and then we like to bring in a bigger cat. You know what I mean?
That's cool, man. Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that's amazing. Just to know that that's how much it takes to put a comic book together, bro.
Sure.
$6,000 for one
Yeah. And that's
issue.
on the cheap end,
Wow.
right?
Wow.
That
Yeah.
is, working with people who are willing to work within your budget. That's, making deals with artists. Like, I got one guy, he's done work for Image. He says, normally I charge double the amount that I charge you, but he says, I only charge you this amount because you're an indie and we want to help you and da 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 da. Right. So,
Yeah.
um, it's expensive. And that's the first thing I tell people when they want to do this, especially if they're not an artist, right? Because if you're an artist and you can draw your own book, you are saving big time money. At that point, you're not investing money, you're investing your time, right?
Wow.
But if you're
Man, that's
just like
amazing.
me and you don't draw all that well and you need someone to draw your book, that's where the money really comes into play, plus the printing and shipping. But let's just talk about the construction of the book, right? On the cheap end, about $6,000 if you're not drawing it yourself.
Gotcha. Wow, that's a gamble. Basically, you're taking $6,000
Yeah.
and saying, "Hey, we're gonna gamble." That's what we're doing, basically.
You're definitely investing in yourself. And the thing is, right, when I started getting $2,000, I thought, holy shit, life doesn't get any better than this, right? You know what I mean? I was on cloud nine, with the very first one we did 10 years ago. The best
Holy
one we ever did was in 2022, and it was a $31,000 campaign. So we came a long way, right? This next campaign we're doing, Razor, it's going to be our biggest one ever. It's going to be our
holy
biggest one
shit,
ever.
bro. I honestly didn't know that it was that much to put a comic book together.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it before we came on here. I was like, that's gotta just to put an actual comic book together. There's got to be a lot that goes into actually writing it, getting it drawn, then getting printed and published, and then just getting it
Well, if we're
out and
adding printing and
manufactured.
publishing, add on another $3,000 to that.
That's the part that I'm interested in. Like, how does that, before we get into that, because I got tons of questions, man. I know we got
Yeah.
Comic Journey here, we got Chad and Win,
Chad for the
and
win, man. What's up?
good shout out, Chad Win. Before we get into that, because I have tons of questions, I want to get to the actual cover for issue number 4.
All right, I'll dig it up.
Before we do that, let's bring on the actual cover artist who helped put together issue number 4 for Niobe, because he's been sitting patiently backstage for the last 25 minutes. Let's bring him on. Locke Win, my man, Mad Monkey Love. Locke, thanks for waiting patiently backstage. Welcome to the show, my guy.
Welcome to the fucking show.
And I have to say, Locke, your artwork, seeing the trading cards, everything that you've done is amazing. I cannot wait to see the finished product. Now, I've seen when you were working on it, and I remember when Nyobi didn't let you sleep for a week straight. We had you on. You were not to make the boobies bigger. So I'm excited now to see what the actual finished product is after it came
Well, actually, the finished product was in the mail today.
Oh,
Oh, really? Nice. Okay.
well, that's all right. We
Well,
can find the photos of them. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. Load up the photos. The finished
I have to
product went
search for them,
into
though. I
the
don't have them
mail.
all. At once.
Everything
They're
left today.
scattered all over my desktop.
This is awesome, man. But before we show the cover, I got to ask you, Locke, before we bring the cover on, because you worked on it for a while, man. This was something that you were passionate about, put your heart and soul into it, hours on end, where you didn't sleep, where Niobe was calling you middle of the night. Get to work, Locke. But I have to ask, man, after now that it's finished, brother, and you're moving on to the next project, how does it feel to work on a Niobe comic book cover?
What do you mean? Like, how does it feel? I mean,
How was the experience working with Niobe on this cover? Truthfully, now
every
that it's
cover,
over with and we're done, you know, you've done, it's over, it's colored, it's coming out. How was the experience, man? Now, you know, you can tell us truthfully now.
Well, I mean, like, it's like anything you work on. Every cover that you work on is unique on its own, because I like working on indie covers because I get to draw something that I don't normally draw. Right. So those are the things, like, you know, Niobe stuff is a lot of females, a lot of female leads, a lot of, so he wants a certain style. And that is something that, like, every artist tries to, you know, we artists, we always try and achieve a style or a look of our own that is unique. But because of my background, I work commercially. If I were to work at Disney and I worked on a specific project, I don't really draw in my style. I usually draw in the style of the lead developers, lead team, and all the other stuff. So I'm used to dealing with editors, picky clients, and all sorts of stuff where, you know, they tell you, like, look, we're designing these characters and they need to be this, and this, and this. And you go and you hash away, you come back and they go, no, right? You're dealing with people who have something in their head, but they can't put it out, right? They can only describe it to you or give you samples. So every project I work on is a unique experience, and you get to learn certain people's, you get to learn like the people you work with, the different stuff. Like when Larry, you know, orders me to spend all night and all week working.
Orders? You mean when it's 3 a.m. and I'm about to shut down the off air and Locke pops in out of nowhere and says, hey, what are you doing?
I don't sleep. I really don't sleep. And when I do sleep, I start to crash, like right now. Like
No, I mean, it's got to be a unique experience to work with somebody.
The thing with me is,
like this guy.
When I'm working on a project, when you get that creative juice going, you know, something stuck in your head, I have to get it out, and that snowballs. And it's like, you know, you're sitting here, you're drawing, and you thought you're for 30 minutes, but you look at the time, it's 6 hours later.
Yeah.
Or 7 hours later or something like that. It always happens. Anybody who's creative, who gets into that flow, even when Larry writes, right? You experience that when you start writing, you kind of just go right in and you forget the time you're at, right? And that's what this is, right?
But that's what you hope for too, because that means you're getting more done. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You are. I like to punch stuff out as quickly as possible, right? If I could, because, you know, there is description. You know, I had to read the first 3 comics. So
That was
I
gonna be
don't.
my question. Did you? How does that? Before you work on a project like Niobe's, do you read the? It says you said you did. So you do read the comic books.
Yep.
Does that not? Others, some artists don't like to actually see any of the artwork. They just want to know what the cover is and just go with their own
Gut feeling kind of stuff.
artistic.
Well, you have to remember that if I'm doing a cover for Marvel or DC or those kind of things, they say you're drawing Wolverine fighting blah blah blah. You know what Wolverine is. You know what his attitude is. You know what his character is. Blah blah. If somebody new shows up, that is really rare where you get to actually draw somebody new. That's a new character, key characters and stuff like that.
Right.
Those usually I don't get because I'm not that top tier artist, because that's something that they design ahead and this is what the artist gets to do. So the mainstream stuff is a lot easier to draw. So ideally, if I'm going to draw these characters in this world or this, environment, I need to understand who they are, what they are. So that way I can give Larry, the Niobe characters, the world, that look and that feel of what's happening, right? So that's how I do my covers. My covers are more action battle stuff. I like doing poses and stuff, which is fantastic, but my background is storytelling, right? I am used to doing storyboards, and if I'm going to do a cover for somebody and they're going to pay me money for it, I want to give them something that I would want to get, right? That's how my attitude is. If I were to draw a cover, I want that cover for myself if I'm going to buy it, because it adds value to that the person that paid me to commission the stuff. I want to give them that value, right? It's my presentation. It's my it's, I guess, is my brand. If you are going to spend the kind of money you spend on me to commission something, I want to give you that value that says, look, you've worked for long hours to spend $200 with me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want to give you that value back, because one day I want to be able to sit at a con and somebody comes up and I do a quick pencil sketch, right? And I can charge them $30,000, but I'm not Jim
You're
Lee.
Jim
Right?
Lee. God damn it, I knew it.
Right? But one day, but that would be, it's one of those things where, like anything, I think like a collector, right? So Razor, right? If you want something, I want to give you something cool, and that's something you can put on the wall
With big boobies, man.
Yeah, well, anything and anything that and that's my work ethic, right? Sometimes I'm lazy at it, but most of the time I try to give that value to everybody that I worked on. So you can tell by, if you go on my Instagram, you can see all my stuff. So every time I get a commission, I try to give that extra value to everybody, and that way I have that what do you call it? That bond with the person, and that way they can come back and they can trust me with it, right? It's all about trust. Like, how often do you commission somebody and you don't get it for 3-4 months, right? So
You hear stories, or you get it back, and you're like, you're like, oh, you want to like it because you spent so much money on it, or you're like,
yeah.
So I'm glad. It sounds like both parties are happy with how the outcome. It sounds like Niobe's extremely excited, Larry, with the cover that came out. Locke, when you're done as an artist, when you finish this cover, how do you feel? Is it something that you're like, yes, that's a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10? Is there that little bit of artist in you that's like, oh, I never quite, or is this something like, yeah, man, I nailed it?
Pull them away from it, man. I'm like, if you keep fucking
Masterpiece.
Exactly. It's always it's anything we do as an artist. The people in the chat will know. Some of you will draw and all that stuff. You're always critiquing something that you've done. There's certain point where you have to let that baby go. You know what I mean? It's the stuff. I mean, a lot of my stuff I'm proud of, right? I saw the color; it looks fantastic. But I'm sitting there staring at it, going, you know what? I could do this or that, and Larry has to go like, "Hey, wake
And
up!"
he did do that, by the way.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
sent him the, what I would call the prototype. I'm like, here's what we got, Locke. What do you
yeah,
think? Locke took a look at it. He made a suggestion. We took
yeah,
that suggestion and implemented it.
yeah.
That's awesome, man. I'm excited, man. I want to see this, the finished product. Are you ready, Larry?
I'm going to show you the cards first. That's what I got loaded
Oh,
up.
you're gonna tease us with the cards.
He's
Yeah, we're
showing
going to tease
Okay.
with the cards first.
Let's take a look at the cards, man. Let's pull those up. Before we take a look at the cover, this is nice,
So
bro.
this is
I've
card
never-
number 1, right? Of course, this features Nyobi. Locke had shown this to me, and I'm just like, damn. Like, and all of a sudden, my brain started turning. And Locke made up this great little label with the code, and it says original hand-drawn sketch by Locke. So there's only going to be one of these on the Kickstarter, right? But there are 5 cards in the set. So here is the original card before it was encased. Here's Adana. She's going to be card number 5 of the set. No, probably 4. Number 4 here. That one's great, eh?
Oh man, it's my favorite right there, bro.
It's kind of my favorite too. But there's so many good ones. Like right here, we got Vira. She's the girl that causes the virus in the Outbreak storyline.
Oh,
So it should be card
that
number
dark one's
5.
sick, bro. Yeah.
Here's the whole set of them. This one up at the top, that's just for me though. But there's the other 5
That's
right there.
nice, man. And the case, the way it's presented, that case that Locke puts them in with the little Nyobi at the top. It looks so fucking professional, man. Like that's a sick ass card, bro.
This
And
is
the
what it
case
will
that
look like
comes
on the
in looks
back, right?
legit.
So I'll be able to sign it at the top. Locke's got it here. He's got, the name of the character, one of one. Again, with the code that will take you to Locke's, social medias and stuff, man. It's really nice partnership that we've done here. You know what I mean?
That's dope, bro. Yeah, I can't wait till it launches, man. Because I got to pick me up one, man. No doubt. I do a little, box opening it live and show them off.
Like I said, I'll be doing this with other artists as well. You know what I mean?
So dope,
So-
bro. It's fun, man. Trading cards is I feel it's a real big area for sketch cards and comic books to go. You see what Mark Spears, what he did with his monster series before he came out with the comic book. It seems like that's the right thing to do, is if you're gonna have a comic book with all these different characters, especially with your own multiverse, like Darth would say, I think it's only right to put them in a 1-for-1, and then you get that little piece of art as a collector, that little one of one that you only have for yourself. You can show it off, and it's cool, man. For a trading card guy like me, I love sketch cards, and they look dope. Anything by Locke on a little fucking trading card, that's gonna be amazing, bro. So
yeah, people ask, like,
guys.
am I gonna have them separately, or does one person get all 5? No, one person won't get all 5 unless if they pledge to all of the 5 tiers that these cards will be on, right? My hope is that 5 people get one of each. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they have
Yeah,
something
man.
special to themselves. Now, someone's out there is going to try and get the set. Don't let them, ladies and gentlemen. You see that campaign go up and you want one of those cards, go for it right away, because I guarantee you they're going to be the first things to sell.
Yeah, man. Trading cards are they are because they're your own little fucking art, your own little personal art, sketch, man. I don't like collecting like the big art pieces, the original art pieces. I'm not that guy, but I do love a good sketch card because it's small enough where you can stash it away, you can pull them out. They look real cool on your coffee table. Whereas
I mean, the
original
case
art
really
pieces
adds to
kinda-
it too. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly, man. So and it's fun, bro. You got that little package with the card. That's cool, man. You know what I mean? It's something different, and it's a way to get your comic book out there as well. You got to find something new and inventive. I was doing this rant the other night about LCSs complaining how they're not bringing any business in and their distribution is horrible. At the same time, they're not doing anything inventive to bring anybody in their front door. They're not training anybody younger. They're just a bunch of old curmudgeons that sit back there, very unpersonable. So this is a way to actually introduce your comic book, an inventive way. Just putting a comic book out there is awesome, but this is a way for me, like a collector of sketch cards, trading cards, to be interested in the comic book as well, because I like sketch cards. That's a cool way to put them together. So
which
kudos
one
to
was
you,
your
man.
favorite?
I like the Adana. Adana's my
Okay.
favorite, and the dark one, the one that brings I forgot what you said, but the
Vira.
gothic looking chick. Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, she's the villain of the entire 5-part miniseries, and we have yet really to showcase her on a cover. She appears on one. I did discover that we did use her at least on one. So she's got to come to a cover. So let's say Adonna's your favorite, and you go ahead and you see the Adonna card tier package, and you go ahead and you pledge for that. So not only will you get that and all the stickers and other little cards we're going to throw in there, but you're also going to get Outbreak number 4 with Locke's cover, and we have that available for you to see right now.
That's going to be so dope. All right, here we go. Let's do this, guys. So we have the finished product. So excited. Here it comes. Hang on.
Whoop, there it is.
Oh, it's not it. You got the wrong one.
Oh, dang.
That is Mr. Paul Green and Ula Moss.
Oh, my bad. Here it is.
There we go.
No.
Whoop, there it is.
And so we'll
This
have
is
enough
issue-
room up here for the logo, right? So the logo will go right up here. And yeah.
Nice, man. This is going to be issue 4. That's with the color. That's sick, bro. That's a sick cover, bro. Good job, Locke. Congratulations, man. That looks awesome, bro. How do you
Colors
feel
by
about the
Dan
color, Locke?
O'Gara. Gotta give him a shout out.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Dan
How do you
did a
feel
great
about the
job.
color?
That's a
Great
question
job.
for you,
That's all
Locke.
you got for me, Locke?
No, the color didn't come from me. That's actually Dan Olvera.
He's asking
Right,
how you
right.
feel about it.
Yeah. How do you feel
like
about it, though, man?
How do I feel about the color?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, the color is great. It turned out, it's one of those things where us artists, we really have to let go, because we are in a production environment where, you know, you do the pencil, you do the ink, and give it the color and all that stuff. We always end up nitpicking. I like the color. The color turned out the way I saw it in my head when I was actually doing the stuff. But it's kind of nice to actually hand it off to somebody, and I don't have to worry about it. And that's, that's really what that is.
But you have that,
I'm sure Locke would have preferred to have colored this himself, right?
Yeah.
But the deal I have, and I didn't know that when I actually told Dan he'd be getting this cover, but Dan Olvera, the guy who colors all my stuff, he used to do a lot of coloring for Zenoscope and Action Lab Comics.
Yeah.
And he colors all the interior Nyobi, right? All the pages. So if I give it to him and he's the one coloring it, then I know we're keeping like things really consistent because he's been coloring this stuff for me for years now, right?
Yeah, and I gotta I do have to hand it to you, Locke. I know it's kind of hard to let your baby go, but I'll be honest with you, man. I think you did the right thing by letting the other gentleman color it, because it does look beautiful, bro. The colors
not
pop.
really, because
Look
it
at
is
the
not-
hair here and just the blending into of the hair, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? From the lights, the purples to the pinks, you know? Like,
Yes, I do. I agree, man. I concur. I think by letting the other gentleman color, what was his name again?
his name is Dan Olvera.
Dan Olvera. I think Dan Olvera did a great job. I like the way the colors pop. You can see the black and the yellow in the back. The fucking everything looks amazing, bro. I'm not somebody who can explain art, but I like the way it looks for the coloring, man. I think
Now, I
you did a
got
great
one with
job.
the logo on it, but I'm probably going to make the logo a little bigger, but I'll just show you what it looks like with the logo. You know what I mean? But we're probably going to move the logo up a little bit and make it a little bit bigger. Shout out to MS there under the cowl of MS.
Shout out, brother. He says,
did
I
a
love how the
really
photo
nice
flows on
review.
her body. Yeah, it
Well,
does look good.
MS
man.
did a really nice review on Nyobi #1, like the original Nyobi #1. He tracked one down through eBay and bought it, right? So
Really?
I would invite everyone to go over to his channel. It's about a 9-minute long review video and check it out. You know, like.
Yeah, definitely. I'll check it out, man. I'm a good haul video guy. I love a good haul video, good review.
So here's
So
one with
shout
the
out,
logo.
MS.
And like I said, we're gonna move the logo up a little bit and make it a little bit bigger, but to give you an idea, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, there you go.
Right now, it looks
trade
more
dress-
like a comic book, right? When you get the logo on it, you know.
I like your logo, bro. That trade dress looks nice, man. I actually think it looks better with the fucking logo on there. It fucking makes it really
Well,
good.
it's supposed to look a little bit better because we left that empty space for a reason, right? So
Yeah.
now we're filling it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that looks amazing, brother. That's gonna be awesome, bro. The number 4 right there. That looks cool, man. Congratulations, guys. It looks great job, man.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, I talked to you about like, artists cutting us deals and giving us breaks. Locke's one of those guys. He's very nice to help us out in that regard.
And you know what? It's cool to see people in the comic book community come together, work together on a comic book. People that we know, yourself, Locke. It's cool to see you guys come together. From a person that watches and as just like everybody else. That's cool, man. It's amazing that you guys are able to work together in the comic book community. We know you guys. This is an awesome issue. So kudos to you guys to working together, making it happen, and that's amazing, man. It's just.
I mean,
It's
Locke did
something
it
that you
right.
don't see a lot.
Locke approached me in the right manner, and we talked about doing work together, and he cut me a nice deal, and we got him involved. And I'll tell you, by Locke doing that, not only has he secured work from me every time I do a project now, because I'll definitely ask him if he wants to be a part of it and hire him. He's earned that. But my friends who also make comics are going to start looking at Locke's direction. You know what I mean?
Yeah, bro. Fuck yeah, man. I'm not saying to put you guys on the map, but maybe there's another team up of you and Locke in the future on another.
100%. There'll be absolutely 100%.
That was my secret plan all along.
Yeah,
I'm slowly
Locke and Larry,
infiltrating the
man.
comic book industry.
Exactly. Locke and Larry, bro. You know what I mean?
I
Fucking
like
those two
that.
guys
Locke
at
and Larry.
the cons
That's got a
together.
ring to it.
Locke and Larry.
Yeah,
I want to see this card Locke's drawn because that looks like a Japanese Nyobi that I really need to have now.
And I think having you guys together on the same card, it'll be cool to see you guys together, like at a con together, because you guys are both different kind of personalities. You got Locke sitting there doing his thing, and then we'll have Nyobi right next to you. And it's a perfect blend of Locke and Larry, man. You guys are
It's
fucking
possible because we're both in Canada and he's in Ontario, which isn't like next door, but it's not on the other side of the country either, right?
Yeah.
So it's possible that I could end up in Ontario at some point, or we'll drag Locke back east. I'm already trying to set the seeds for that, so we'll see what we can do.
Yeah,
I guarantee if I get Locke coming the month in here for a convention, which I am trying to do, I will bring him to my house. I will sit him in the chair next to me, and we will live stream from the Nyobi Den.
Yeah, there we go.
There you go. Yeah, let's fucking do that, man. Let me get in on that somehow. I could. Well, if you guys decide to do it at a con together, I'll fucking show up and I'll just stand there like the fucking like the bodyguard, bro, with the jacket on. We'll fucking make sure that we keep everybody away and everything calm and civil. We won't have a Peach Momoko stampede. I'll make sure the line is the line.
I don't think we're in.
That's not the line. The line starts
that
right here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're no danger of that, but we still want you there to be intimidating. Like, there's my bodyguard Ray. Don't fuck with me.
Well, that's what we got to do, man. We got to. You got to fake it. You got to fake it till you make it, brother. You know what I mean? So we'll bring the whole posse. You know what I'm saying? We'll have you guys set up, and then we'll attract all the attention, and then we'll fucking what I mean? Charge $50 a signature, man. Plus the book.
Man. Well, I'll never charge for a signature though. That's one thing
I don't charge for a signature.
Some people do. I mean, we
got to start somewhere.
Yeah, I'm kind of honored when someone just even asks it for me. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's like I gotta understand. You want the artist signature on the cover, but do you really want mine?
Hey, you never know, man. Once Nyobi blows up. You know what I mean? Fuck that Locke and Larry signature, brothers. On the trading cards, I'm gonna be the one, the first one to have it.
I don't know if we'll ever quote unquote blow up, right? But what we have been experiencing is just nice, good, steady, slow growth.
Let's blow it up because I want my speculation to grow. I want to be the fucking first time that I actually have.
Well, look, if you want to speculate on Nyobi covers, you need to be buying the Paul Green stuff.
Yeah,
the Paul Green.
Those are the covers that are worth money.
I have no idea who we're talking about. I don't know.
So Paul Green's an artist much like along the lines of a J. Scott Campbell. He's got a rabid fan base. He does the really sexy style, and his covers are highly collectible, and usually go for a pretty penny.
Oh, okay. Well, shout out Paul Green.
Well, he's the artist that did the Nyobi that's right beside me there on my avatar.
Oh, gotcha. All right. Well,
and he's done like 3 or 4 covers for us, and they always sell really, really well, and they're always the first things to be flipped on eBay.
Yep.
Right. Well, let's blow it up, man. Let's see if Locke will be the first one we can start flipping on eBay, because I want to start flipping on eBay. I want to flip a Locke and Larry trading card. once
Yeah.
I get it. You know,
Yeah.
I want to be the fucking one of these flippers, man, in the flipperverse.
I mean, either way, whether you keep it or you sell it and it goes to someone else, eventually it's going to end up in someone's home. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
exactly.
Right, exactly. Lisa always tells me to sell everything, so I'm gonna fucking put it up on eBay,
Well, look, there's a day I'm just going to
$500 as soon
spend
as I
here in the
get it.
Nyobi den and I'm just taking a bunch of photographs of shit and it's all going up on eBay.
Lisa said it set a price for all 5.
It's a consideration. You know, I like to get them to like different hands, right?
I
Plus,
mean, that,
we'll sell more books by doing that, you know, in the sense of like, okay, one guy's going to come in and buy all 5, or I can get 5 guys to come in, buy them separately, and they're also buying a book along with it, you know?
yeah, from the collector's standpoint, though, you know, to
Well, I
have
mean,
that
they can fight it
5
out.
set.
You know what I mean? Like,
That'd be dope, man, to have the 5 set. You know what I mean?
could you
But
imagine, like, if you came in and you backed 4 of them, and then one guy backed a 5th one, and you're just missing that one, and oh, well, you know, number 5 has it. You're gonna have to contact number 5 and make a wheel and deal. You know what I mean? Like,
if I get those in, I'm gonna be like Lisa. I'm gonna post that shit on Instagram like Lisa. I'm gonna be the fucking first one to take that picture and fucking put a bunch of sparkles and shit on it on each fucking card. The 5 complete set. Your boy Razor Comics has it. That'd be dope, man. You know what I mean? I mean, you do whatever the fuck you want to do, of course.
yeah, I mean, I
But,
haven't made a final decision on it yet, so you know, don't quote me on anything. Uh,
right?
I'm glad the cards are in the mail though, because once I get them, that's probably really going to make the wheels turn because I'll be able to pick them up. I'll be able to hold them, see them, you know, then I'll really decide what we're going to do.
Yeah,
Okay.
once you have it in your hand, it's a different thing. So
And is there a way so we can get an alert to follow you when this goes live? Should we just on Instagram or?
I mean, just keep up with me on social media, whether that's Instagram or Facebook. I mean, I'm primarily a Facebook user, and I know that
Yeah, I noticed
Facebook's
that.
for old people, but god damn it, Razor, I'm old.
Yeah, I noticed that. I try to get hold of you all day on Instagram. You're
Right.
like,
And as soon as you message Locke, you got a hold of me in 3 seconds.
yeah, you're like, get a hold of me on Facebook, man. I'm like, what the fucking Facebook? Who the fuck?
Facebook. You must have a Facebook account. Come on, everyone does.
What are you, 80 years old? Who the fuck's fucking? I'm like, no, bro. It's Instagram. You man a DM. He's like,
But
no,
Instagram's
Facebook.
owned by Facebook, so I don't understand, you know? Like,
Yeah, what the fuck? I could. It's like, what I got to page this guy? Like, what is he fucking Facebook? What
yeah,
are we doing?
page this guy. Well, send me a DM on Facebook. I'll guarantee to see it because it's always running, right? Instagram, I don't leave it up. So I have to like log into Instagram and check and see if there's stuff there, which I do maybe a couple times a week.
Fucking in Facebook, bro. I was like, fucking Facebook. What do you got a 2-way? What I send you a fucking 2-way? How do I get
Well,
hold
it's
of
so
the
I
guy?
can poke you, you know?
It's like Facebook. Get the fuck out of
I
here.
forgot. I
I
forgot.
just want to poke Razor.
Because I finally got a hold of you, and I was like, all
Yeah.
right, well, can we do this tonight, man? I want to fucking,
Yeah, of
hang
course,
out
man.
and show off the cover and see what locks up. Yeah,
Well,
let's
look,
do it, man.
either
Sure.
we just be in the off air or I be playing Stellar Blade. I much rather come in and, you know, hang out with Razor and talk comics. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly. So follow Larry Nyobi on Facebook.
Listen, follow Comics Journey. You know, you just brought up his thing there. He's a MySpace kind of guy. We all been friends with Tom. I'm sure he was like my first internet buddy ever. Tom of MySpace. You know, but in regards to Comics Journey, you know, talk about someone, you know, stepping out of the comfort zone, putting out their own comic. You know, working with different artists on this anthology book that he's got called The Shift Project. Fund it already. And on his way now to see where it can go. You know, everything he gets beyond this point now is icing on the cake, right? He
Yeah,
did
you
the
know
hard
what?
part. He got funded, you know.
Yeah, no, I got something for Comic Journey, man. I need to turn my fan down here. I'm getting cold here, but yeah, I seen that. I'm proud of him. I'm happy for him. I went live the other night where I dropped a little, my little rant like I do every once in a while, and I did a live rant that I do every once in a while. I feel like doing a live rant. Of course, I fumble it up, but my guy Comic Journey was on, and he was doing his thing, promoting his project, his book, everything, the artists that are working on it, the anthology series, and I didn't want to go on there and fuck it up. They were like, "Can we just talk about comic books?" And I shout out to Comic Journey because he did shout out me, so shout out my guy. And I wanted to make sure it was all about him that night. I don't want to come on there and bring my my persona with me, man, and fuck up
But we like
your
your
talk
persona.
of your comic book. But I wanted to shout out Comic Journey. He's a cool cat. And Comic Journey, we're just hanging out tonight, brother. I got the coffee brewing. If you want to hang out and jump in the chat, you're more than welcome to. I did recognize your live stream the other night. I didn't want to comment. I didn't want to fucking jump in. I know, you guys were talking comic books, doing your thing. And, I get it, bro. Trust me. There's a lot of times where I've had to go to parties and fucking, you know what I mean? And be like, oh, there's fucking that guy right there.
God damn, that Nyobi's gorgeous.
I totally understand, brother. I wanted you to shine, make it all about you. But you're more than welcome to come and hang out with the fucking slum with us guys up here.
Man. I mean, it's not really much for me to tell, I mean, at this point, we're working on 4. 5 is going to come right after, immediately after. So we're going to wrap up that mini series. After that, Nyobi will be done in like 36-page one-shots. That's how it will go forward. That way, people aren't waiting months on end to figure out how this mini series is going to end. They'll just get a complete story all at once, right?
Yeah.
And then we have my other comic, which is Savage Sin. So we're going to continue to do that as well.
Right on, man.
That's the plans for 2025 is wrap up the mini series for both Savage Sin and Nyobi and then start cranking out, these like 36-page one-shots. They'll be about the size of an old-fashioned Marvel annual,
Yeah, no, that's cool, brother. Yeah, I mean, we covered everything. We basically did cover everything. Comic Journey. It's definitely Larry and Locke's night. You're more than welcome to hang out, man. You're a brother, and I appreciate you shouting me out, and I saw you doing your thing, man. And I'm proud of you. Comic says they whore myself out with you in another night, Razor.
Well, I did speak with Journey the other night. God, whose stream was it on?
That was mine and
your stream, the Worm stream.
He was drawing, or he wasn't drawing. He was hanging out with you guys, right?
Yeah. And so I got to give some words of advice and feedback to him, and he's
on the circuit.
He's got everything down. He knows what he's doing. So we're gonna bring him on my show as well, probably in a week or two. We're gonna figure out a time. Probably right in the middle of his campaign. We're gonna bring him on my show. We're gonna talk Kickstarter. We're gonna talk business. You know what I mean? We're gonna talk everything that he's got going on, and basically what same questions you asked me: the who, how, when, what's, and whys of it all.
Yeah. One thing that I wanted to ask him, and the difference between being on the shelf and not being on the shelf, because I know his opinions are a little bit different than yours. It's important for you to be on the shelf. Yeah. I'm not so much sure if it's important for Comic Journey. I know he does want to be on the shelf as well, and I'm one of those guys that kind of talk shit about LCSs and who gives a shit about New Comic Book Day because it's going to be closed in a week or in a year rather.
I hope not, but
my whole, well, I'll be honest with you. My whole take on New Comic Book Day and LCSs is LCSs are going to go the way of the record stores. Eventually, an LCS is going to place a place where you can go and get vintage comic books, just like you can go now to these record stores and go dig for vintage, vinyl.
Sure.
That's going to be the way of the LCS. My prediction is within the next year, because of everything that's happening with Diamond distribution, all these Kickstarters, the way that you can get comic books via Whatnot and other routes, LCSs will be totally dead because the only thing that they're going to be able to rely on is the vintage comic books. I believe, and my prediction is that eventually new comic books are going to get scaled down and they'll be available via subscription, meaning that you will be able to actually order your comic books instead of going to your LCS and creating a pull list. You'll be able just to create your pull list directly, Marvel, DC, Image, whoever, and then get those books delivered to you. That's the smart way to go. That's what I think is eventually going to happen. You'll probably see it within a year. I think that's the business model. If I'm putting this together as far as getting my comic books out, why fucking even skip the LCSs? Just get them directly to people who are going to order them online. You already put your pull list together online. Yeah. They're going to just go ahead and grab that, send them to you. You get your subscriptions in the mail, probably in Gemini's, nice packaging. And then your LCS is going to be your vintage record store where you can be able to go and pick up.
It could very well end up that way, right? It could very well. But it could also end up.
There you go, comic book community.
But it could also solve
that whole problem for you.
Well, it also could end up being very different than that scenario, right? You present a possibility. It's not the only possibility. The other possibility is that Diamond works its way out of Chapter 11 and comes back stronger than ever.
That's not going to happen.
I wouldn't. Steve Jeffries is pretty much a big comic book guy. He's not going to let this go without a fight. So
In chapter
I wouldn't
11,
bet on that yet.
yeah, it's something crazy like 90% of business that you don't come out of chapter 11, bro. That's one of those
They
holes
didn't
that
enter
you
it without
never
the
come out of,
ambition
man.
of wanting to come out of it.
You have a lot of ambition. You are, bro.
And even if they don't, right?
But chapter 11 is
listen, even
usually
if
a
they
coffin.
don't, someone will
For
come
your
along and be the third party. There'll always be a distributor somewhere.
Yeah,
There's money
there
to
will
be
be. But realistically, the way the market's going, the way we get our comic books now, there is logistically no reason to have to go to your comic book shop. It's for one, it's not welcoming, these comic book shops, when you walk in there.
I
Let's
don't
be
know what
honest.
comic book shops you've been going to.
A lot of them.
Everyone I've been in has
A
been
lot of them
stellar.
for walking into comic book shops. Let's be honest, guys. Comic book shops are usually owned by somebody who's old. Maybe they got a couple of young people at the desk, but around, when you go to a new comic book shop, is usually you walk in, it's quiet. It's not like you see on YouTube. You have to ask questions yourself. It's not very welcoming. So the whole experience is not the same like it used to be. It's not like we would go back in the 80s or 90s. Maybe there's a couple of people in there playing some trading card game, but the most part is quiet. It's not fun. If I can get my comic books, I'll tell you this right now, as the guy who completely quit New Comic Book Day,
Yeah.
if they can make it where you can cut out the middleman, and again, I compare this to a dope dealer, getting somebody their dope. If I am somebody who's buying dope, if I can go strictly to the source and cut out the middleman, why wouldn't I? So let me put together my pull list and go directly to Marvel, directly to DC, and you mail me my books. I'll pay whatever extra fee or for shipping or whatever, and I will actually be a New Comic Book Day guy. I can't wait for Wednesday to roll around because I know my books are going to be coming in the mail every week.
Damage.
That's a beautiful thing.
I
don't have to go
damage.
to
Every time Marvel did the subscription service, the books always showed up with a crease in the middle because they don't ship them like collectibles. They ship them like magazines. Okay.
Now they can ship them, man. If we can ship them on Whatnot to each other, we can do AOKs to each other and ship our books through Whatnot, and it comes to you perfectly. I'm sure Marvel and DC will be able to do the same.
If comic book shops go under, there won't be a whole lot of comics to even be seen, right? People know comic book shops to go buy their comics. Yes, they can buy them online. They can do that now. There's no reason why both can't exist.
I hear you, brother. I know you're pushing back. I can feel you. I know you're an LCS kind of guy because you want your comic book on the shelf, and I hope it does, stay there. But as a realist, just kind of looking at the environment, what's happening, how I consume, how a lot of people I know consume, we don't like picking up our books at the LCS. If they can show up every week at our front porch, I would rather have that than have to go pick up my books every Wednesday.
Life like that,
and then there's a possibility
the house.
There's a possibility of them not even being there. The whole FOC and list is created so that way, oh man, my comic books are going to be there. There's a chance your comics won't even be there. So this way, that your comic books, you're going to get them. You're going to get your dope every week. You don't have to worry about the dope man not having your dope or not when you go in there on Wednesday. You'll know that you'll have your package delivered to you. I'm just being honest. That's probably the way of the future, man. Subscription comic books. I would definitely sign up, and I would purchase more comic books. I would get Nyobi and other stacks. My pile will be huge, man, because I know that I'm going to get them. I don't have to worry about going in there and fighting with other smelly people. I can choose my covers on fucking online and get my shit delivered to me.
Right, but if we just buy everything online, when the hell do we ever leave the house then? Like my brother buys his groceries online. Like, are you crazy? You know what I mean? Like you'll just be trapped to the computer chair and no one will ever leave. It'll be like that movie Surrogates,
Well, the LCS shop will still be there. I mean, if you want to go and hang out and talk shop.
You basically have them dead and buried.
Well, they're going to be a record store, like a vintage record store, kind of like now when you go into these vintage, they're still around.
They won't sell new comics. Then they'll just
exactly. They won't sell new comics, which is fine because those guys know everything about fucking the keys and all that good shit. And you can be able to talk and have your conversations about X-Men and all those good debates. It'll still be there for you. Just the New Comic Book Day subscription service.
Comics Journey says there's a charm going to the shop. Most LCS guys are assholes, but the ones that get it right, get it right. Under
Yeah.
the Cowl of MS says, I like to go to the LCS and kick back on the couch. I feel like I'm at home with friends. It depends on the
Oh, check your
LCS, right?
LCS.
Yeah.
Well,
The
look, you haven't
the
seen my LCS. My LCS is
I would
gorgeous.
I would kick you the fuck out, bro. I would have you. Get off
the
my fucking couch.
LCS Razor, the LCS in Toronto, especially downtown, they have coffee shops. They
Yeah.
sell coffee. You can actually
That's a
go
good
in
idea.
and read stuff. They have readable books that they put aside. They actually like take a book and put it aside just for reading, so you don't have to, if you want, if you know what I mean. They
Right.
have that, so they buy extra for reading because they know it's going to be manhandle. We have those shops in Toronto. So I mean, before, back in the 80s and 90s, the LCS were those like dingy, because the owners themselves aren't business people. They are collectors who have boxes. And this is how I was introduced to comic book shop. You know, that comic book guy from The Simpsons. That was my LCS guy, right? He knew everything about comics, right? And those were the things. Then, you know, he would rent the cheapest place. I mean, I think there was a dead hooker outside, and that we just propped her up and made her like, you know, Red Sonja or something like that, right? So that was the neighborhood I was in, right? So that's at the time. Now, here's the issue that we're having, like, from my standpoint as an artist. I need the LCS to exist, because I need to get new
For
readers
new
in.
comic book day, or just to
Even
exist?
just anything at all, because the LCS is one of those things where when I was growing up, there was no LCS. The way I got comic books was through the variety store on the spinner racks. Those things don't exist anymore, right? The
Right.
kids don't go, like, they go to the variety store rarely, right? If
The
the only
kids,
way
the
they go
kids
to
are not
variety
buying
store,
comic books. We're
Yeah.
buying comic books.
yeah, they go to variety store usually on their lunch break from school, right? That's what we're seeing in cities where teens are going to variety stores. But the problem is the variety stores are there to, now they're selling what? Vapes. They're selling, you know, anything possible except for comic books, because magazine takes up that big rack, right? They rather sell you snacks and food and paper towels and stuff like that, because that's what it is. So that's why those things are disappearing. I kind of like what's happening now, where I can go to the dollar store and they're starting to put comic books in the dollar store, because I bring my daughter to the dollar store, because
That's cool. That was a cool idea. Right. Yeah.
right.
Exactly.
So I'm hoping for the LCS to exist, because what happens is, like, the kids, I know they're on the phone all the time,
But
I want,
Locke, look, what does that
yeah,
tell you? You kind of, I mean, kind of made my point for me. What does
Yeah.
that tell you? That we would rather pick up our books at a dollar store than go to a comic book shop
because
pick up a new
here's
book
the
day.
thing, right?
Because
Look at
the
this.
well, let me
Yeah.
just I don't mean to interrupt you. The point I'm trying to make is the comic book shop is not inviting. So
Well,
you're
here's the
right. Some
thing.
people go to the dollar store. That's more inviting and more fun to go to than the goddamn
The
comic
dollar
book shop,
store is
because that's not
convenient.
fun. When you walk in there, for instance, I
Yeah.
have my kids that I take with me, right? I have 3 daughters, grown daughters. My youngest is in her 20s, in a sophomore in college, right? So when I take them to the comic book shop, not one of them like to go in there. So if they hang out
Right.
with me and we're doing our thing on the weekend, we're gonna go have dinner, whatever. It's my birthday weekend, right?
Yep.
We're gonna hang out, we're gonna go do our thing. I'm gonna go hunting for some comic books. My kids, other than my youngest one,
We'll stay
won't go in the
outside.
comic book shop, because it doesn't matter which comic book shop we go to. They don't like the vibe in the comic book shops. They think it's creepy when
Yep.
they walk in there into a comic book shop. They don't feel it welcoming. They feel quiet. They're not into, trading cards. They're
Yep.
into
That
comic
is,
books, and they're into
yep.
manga barely, but not enough for them to walk into a comic book shop. Now, when we're hanging out in the dollar store or we're going to Five Below, they love all three of them are getting down with me. Not just one of them, but all three of them. And if we're in Five Below or in a dollar store, they're more than likely to pick up those comic books, regardless of what issues they are, if they're reprints, than they are if we're going to a comic book store. Now, that has
Right.
nothing to do about what's being put inside the comic
Right.
book store. It has to go about what's going on in the comic book store. The presentation of the comic book store is, let's be honest, some old guy, usually an older white guy, who's behind a desk and maybe has a younger two employees, and it's not very welcoming when you go in there. I mean,
Right.
I'm being honest with you. I know
Nope,
I'm not trying to put
I
down
agree with you.
how
I agree
CS
with
is.
you. Here's the thing.
Oh,
I agree
we got a
with
couple people backstage, man. I apologize.
yeah. Yeah.
Let me add, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Let's bring Rob Fat Stacks. I appreciate you jumping in, man. I know you heard the
Rob, right.
conversation.
Stereotypes.
Thank you.
You're preaching
Stereotype.
stereotypes.
Stereotype, right?
We also got Nyobi at backstage. I don't know how we lost you, brother, but we'll have
Yeah.
you back.
Oh,
on.
it's
Thank
because
you,
I
brother.
tried to turn on my cam and everything got disconnected.
So
Yeah, all of a
here's-
sudden, me and Lockstar go
here's-
into a heated
here's
conversation.
my
so
take.
thanks.
Okay, so you have those stores. Those stores for me don't exist anymore. They only exist in small towns. Because here in my metropolis area,
In Canada,
the Toronto
beautiful Canada.
area, they're actually welcoming. They're putting couches. They have game rooms. Because that's how these guys survive. Because
That's
if they
awesome.
sold only comic books, they're done for.
Exactly.
Right? So
You gotta
that's
evolve,
why
man.
they're welcoming. I mean, they're better lights than what I grew up with, right? Here's the other thing too. You have to remember that the older guys in there, they started out with they're either holding a secondary job to keep that store afloat. This is what
Okay.
I always notice, right?
Right.
Because they are collectors. They are true collectors. It's like, if I become, if I have boxes and boxes and boxes, then I'm going, you know what? I got to get rid of it. How do I get rid? I can put them on eBay, but let's see, you know what? I want to hang around with my other collectors. I'm going to open up a shop. The first thing I do is look for the cheapest rented place. That's the reason for it. And I can't afford like spotlightings, all this other stuff. So everything's kind of be handmade. And it's been like that for, these guys
Rundown.
owned the
Yeah.
store for 30, 40 years. They're not making millions. Like they get out into the business not to make like I'm shocked they even make any money at the end of the year. That's the thing, right? But you have new shop owners. So you have these younger ones that are going in, but they're adapting to that society, to that environment. Because you have to remember, if you're downtown Toronto, you actually walk into any of these stores. They the outside of the store is beautifully. They got paintings and murals and statues.
Sure.
And you walk in, it's fully lit. It's got a beautiful upstairs where there's mangas with couches and all this other stuff.
They're inviting. Yeah,
They
exactly.
are very inviting. So I'm when you say that, where the store is dingy and stuff, I'm sorry for your area. Right?
And I can say I've seen,
Yeah.
Both, right?
Yeah.
I think there are some that are comics only or are focused like that or are really old and stuff and dated and stuff. And there's some that are newer and do different things.
Yeah.
My regular LCS that I go to, right? They don't have rows and rows and rows and boxes stacked a billion high of old books, right? Their back issue area is relatively small.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I very seldom buy anything there that's in a back issue area because they don't have the type of books I want, like these big books. They don't do them. They buy, very small collections every once in a while. That's about it. Most of their stuff in that shop, when you walk in, it's about probably 70% non-comic stuff. They've diversified it because the owner also owned a gaming shop. And they consolidated the two shops into one really big, nice, open floor plan store that you go into. And it has, there's whole sections of, the the manga, there's stuff that with your collected editions, there's stuff that's kids section, there's the regular stuff. All around the perimeter is the comics.
Sure.
And the
Right.
middle, you've got your regular Funko stuff, but then you got your board games, and you've got dice, and you've got miniatures, and you've got supplies, and you've got board games, and RPG games and all this. And then of course the card games, and then there's a whole gaming area in the back where you can do they have different gaming events, or you can rent tables, or you can rent board games, and of course snacks and drinks for the people that are there for that stuff. Or they've got rooms in the back for podcasts and stuff that you can rent out and do and host shows there. And
other
all kinds of things, because you know what, because those board games, that gaming stuff, it ties in. There's a crossover. Sometimes a family comes in, not everybody's into comics, but somebody's into some games, or vice versa. But the
Pokemon
gaming
cards or
stuff is
whatever.
they're much higher profit margin.
Yeah.
They're more consistent sellers. They're easier to stock and keep your inventory correct than the comic business is. And so for that aspect, they can keep that going. That's the main revenue generator. The comics is still an element. And then they have, when I go into that shop, there's at any given time, the least I've ever seen it staffed, not counting holidays, because my shop is open 365 days a year. Aside from like Christmas and Thanksgiving, there's generally like at least six people on the floor at any given time, because there's two guys working comics. There's somebody who's working the back gaming rental area. There's a person who's working the RPG section. There's a person that's working, they got different counters with different setups.
Figure section, right.
They hire young kids, or young adults, I should say. They're not kids, to work these things. A lot of them are in their 20s and 30s. And it's a very well lit, friendly place that they try to invite families and everything else.
And those are the ones that are usually semi-successful, right?
And they're plugged in. And the reason that they're open 365 is because they're also plugged into the, trying to be a safe space. Yeah. So for LGBTQ community and stuff, they know that sometimes your families, it's hard to be around during the holidays. So you're welcome to escape to their location and hang out there. We'll put on community events and stuff like a Thanksgiving dinner.
No, I'm not saying I want the shops to go away. That's,
right.
I'm not saying that let's get rid of the shops. My focus
Some need
is
to
on
change to survive.
What I'm saying is that the shop, like you said, they can still survive by different, avenues of bringing in the revenue, by just like you mentioned, all the examples that you just gave us. So there's ways for them to provide a place where that people can come still spend their money without having to rely on the new comic book day crowd. We can still be able to, get our new comic book day. They can still be able to exist and have their shop and sell their back issues and vintage comics and toys and what have you.
Yeah.
I think that would make it easier for the two to coexist, so that way we can still get our new comic book days. We can go online, and we know the comic book day shop can direct you to where you can go to find your new comic book day online, and then while you're there, you can pick up some cool other stuff. I don't want them to go away, because you're right. It does create
but some of them are going to. I mean,
some of them will, and that's. I'm not saying that's not necessarily a bad thing, because that's capitalism, baby. If you can't make it,
because I travel up. When I would travel to my kids' schools when they're at university and stuff, I always like to look for comic book shops in their area. It's like my oldest, when he was there in Utah, there was not a lot, but my youngest is up in Oregon, and so there's lots of comic book shops around there. And there's I've gone to one right near their school where I walk in that place. I'm like, this place, I'm surprised it's in business, and not just because, and the biggest reason in it is it took me. Even I had Google Maps open, I'm looking at things. It took me 10 minutes to find the entrance to the building, because it turned out this place was upstairs, and the door was secretly between a couple, down a hallway or something between these others. And you had to you thought you were going in a different business, but and then when you get up there, the guy had, folding tables set up that were sagging with boxes and boxes. There was no organization to the place. And you're like, oh, dude, come on. Then they got other shops I've gone into there where, they got one that I love, Rogue City Comics, that is you go in that place and they got two shops. You walk in and there's two shops. One is the comic book shop, which is focused 98% on comics. And in another shop, which is its sister shop, which is their retro wormhole or whatever, which is loaded with nothing but all kind from movie posters to toys to, from repop stuff to
Because
toys that
care.
people.
They care that their business survives. Where some of these guys that they just want to be in business because they like being around comic books and that's all they know. And I don't feel sorry for those shops. If those shops don't make it, that's their fault. It's not us comic book collectors not being interested in new comic book day it's just a shitty comic book shop. I was comparing this the other night to a dope dealer.
A good one.
If you can't sell dope and you're a bad dope dealer, well then you should get out of selling dope and go work at McDonald's. If you
Anybody
can't
who
sell
goes to
comic
a
books,
crappy
go open up
sorry.
a Chick-fil-A. You know what I mean? You just get out. You're not good at it. That's not our fault that you're not good
Well,
at it.
here's the other problem with that, though. If the dope you're selling is bad dope to begin with, then there's another problem, right?
Sure.
And so the reason
some
why
people are still
many
going to need their
people don't
fix.
buy mainstream comic books right now is because they're unhappy with certain political agendas being jammed down their throats in said comic books, which has thus caused a huge loss of sale. Plus overabundance of reboots, overabundance of variants, overabundance of events. Their price, people don't like paying $4.99 for a book. There are many things here that stabbed into the heart of the comic book industry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's a lot of complaints. Absolutely. But the new comic book day, I think it's our baby, right? It's our go-to. It's our drug every week, right? It's our hit that we look forward to every week. That's what we need to get right. The dope man has his dope every week. The problem is with the distribution. So if you have a bad distribution, if you can't get your comic books every week, that unfortunately that's a you problem. I hate to say it. I know it sucks. That's not my problem. I can get my books by different avenues. I definitely can get them on Whatnot. I can get them online. There's different ways for me to get my books. I don't need a local comic book shop. I still want them to thrive and survive. There's different ways for them to do it. And I still want to be involved in New Comic Book Day. I don't like going to shop on New Comic Book Day. I don't like the experience. I think that if it was available subscription online, I think that there will be that stigma detached, that you will have a lot more people involved because now you don't have to go to a comic book shop and be judged by the stack of books that you're pulling. Maybe somebody looks at you differently. Maybe you feel that they're looking at you differently. They're not. You will be able to be comfortable. Unfortunately, this is how it is. You'll be able to be comfortable in your own home. Yes, in your own home, in front of your computer, where you can take the time. You don't have to stand in front of this shelf where there's other sweaty people around you and it smells. And you go, excuse me, can I? You can literally just take your time, sift through the New Comic Book Day list, just like we do now, add to your pull list. By Wednesday, Thursday, your books is right there on your doorstep.
You can do that now. Many comic.
Well, that's what I'm curious. What is your New Comic Book Day experience, Razor?
I don't. I'm done with New Comic Book Day. I'm completely shut it off.
Okay. Let me rephrase that.
I had this. That's why I had the conversation. I'm not. That's why I don't do the news. I tried to force the New Comic Book Day upon myself. I felt like I was being disingenuine by trying to do watch the New Comic Book Day pull list and let's see what's coming out. I'm not a New Comic Book Day because I don't like the experience. I want to be able to pick and choose a small list. I don't want to have to rely on a pull list. I feel very I don't want to say I feel like I'm being forced to do a pull list, but when I create a pull list, I feel like I have to, always show up on Wednesday to pick up my books. And then when I'm there, there's a different experience. It's not the same. No matter where you go, I feel like if it's the subscription service that you are going to pull in more people, even more younger people, because they're used to already going online and they don't like going to the comic book shops.
Okay, so
I think if you pull in a subscription service, less people are going to be buying comics. I think people are just going to be like, yeah, fuck that. And they're just not going to bother. I mean, we already see a decline in comic book sales as it is, right? Keeping the LCS open is like comic books are an impulse buy. You walk into the shop, you see a cover you like, you go, oh, I'm going to pick that up. And you might pick up a few other books.
Are they? With all the top 10 lists and all the speculation that we have,
Absolutely.
Is it? By the time you walk in there Wednesday, you pretty much already know what you're going to get.
No,
There's very few comic book buys. When I walk in there, there's very few that I'm like, oh yeah, that's a cool, I'm going to get it. I already know by looking at these top 10 lists, putting together my pull list, pretty much what I'm looking at when I get in there because I already have my pull list sitting there. And then If there's something else, I already know what I'm honing in on because I don't want to miss out on it. Right. So yeah, I for the most part, very little.
I go in there. Right. I have a pull list that I manage online through previews, right? That I can go on a look, do my FOC, I can preview stuff, order, change, increase, decrease covers, whatever. I have books that are on subscription, and I have books that I just order ad hoc, right? Those all get pulled for me, right? But then I go in there and after I pick up my books, I always still go back because sometimes there's a cover that didn't look the same or wasn't the same as what was shown in the previews, or wasn't visible, or there's a book that, you know what, I only looked at Marvel, DC, and Image and stuff, but here was something else from another, right? So there's something like, okay, this was on my subscription list, right? That was there.
Mm-hmm.
This book,
can we full screen him so we can see the books?
This book, this was I had a different cover. This cover I didn't see before. This was a much better cover than the A cover. So I swapped it out. No big deal. My LCS let me do that. This one, yeah, it was on my pull list. That one was not on my pull list. That was just, I want that.
Okay.
Right. Cover by. This one I had on my pull list. I was glad I did because it was sexy as hell with foil. Right. Incentive variant was not on my pull list. That was just, oh, damn. Let me grab that. So that's another one. This was not on my pull list. I had to go. It was like Lobos, Absolute Wonder Woman.
Gorgeous cover, man.
Nice.
Yeah, that is a sick cover, bro.
And what's great about that was I had read the first 3 issues of Absolute Wonder Woman. I wasn't sure I was going to continue to pick it up. Not because it was bad, but just because I don't normally read Wonder Woman. And the cover sold me on giving it another month. Pull list was not on my pull list, but I had to pick that fucker up because that was sexy as hell. Right? On my pull list.
Okay.
Not on my pull list. Not even, I had no, Massive Publishing, not anywhere on any of the preview stuff I saw. I had no idea this was coming out. It was, and I'm glad it did because I read it and I enjoyed it so far. I dig it. 50s, 60s pinup model combined with zombies and greaser chicks. Hell yeah. Hook me up. I'm in.
Say less.
Right? So about probably 40% of what I ended up picking up was either changed or picked up on the fly at the shop, even though I have a normal subscription and I went through FOC pickups and stuff, because there's always something that you just don't see the other way, that the store brings a different feel to everything.
No, I get that. At Comic Journey, I totally understand that it already exists. You can do an online subscription service through Midtown or mycomicbookshop.com and get up to 35% off the price bag and board. I totally understand. What I'm saying is New Comic Book Day, as far as it going away because of the distribution with Diamond and the whole deal, and making sure that you get your books every Wednesday, no matter what. What I'm saying is the way to go in the future, man, would be to go directly subscription services. Cut out having to go to the LCS on New Comic Book Day books only. So if you want your New Comic Book Day books, you're only going to get them via subscription services. That's it. They're not going to be at the LCS. That's what I'm saying.
You wouldn't get your books on the Wednesday because you have to be shipped individually to you. You're going to have more packages subject to damage. You're going to have more lost packages. You're going to have more issues with weather delays. People got to understand stuff that's going on with Diamond as far as bankruptcy. That's Chapter 11. It's protection that allows them to continue to function and operate. It has no impact on their business of their distributing. What impacts their business right now is weather across this country, and especially snow in areas where that doesn't normally get it, and other things like that cause delays in shipments.
Diamond's always been a shitty business. They're not coming back.
They're not going away.
They're not going away though. Chapter 11. I mean,
90% of businesses that file bankruptcy, regardless of what they do, they do not come back from Chapter 11.
That's absolutely wrong. Chapter 11 is intended for them to come back. Chapter 7, you're absolutely correct. Chapter 11, though, no. Now, they may down the road be sold or acquired or have new investors, but the businesses themselves, the whole purpose of Chapter 11 is to allow them to continue to operate, restructure, find new investors in order to continue business.
All right, we'll see. Well, you know what? I can't wait to see what happens in the future with Diamond, because
I mean, I will tell you that I am, in my role in my professional life, I deal with businesses and business contracts all the time, and their financing stuff, and we deal with these things that all of a sudden they go into chapter 11, and we can't collect on their back money they owe us, but we're required to continue to provide them services while they do, and then meanwhile we end up negotiating the back debt that they owe us, and eventually everything continues on, and the majority of these businesses are still in business today.
Really? All right, Rob. Well, then you know what? I appreciate you educating me on that, man.
Trump's gone through chapter 11.
Right.
More than once.
Let me show you what I got.
Exactly. More than once.
Yeah, let's take a look at Nyobi's.
So this is free, by the way. Everyone's able to get this Laura Kinney Wolverine #2 free. This is Witchblade #7. This is on my pull list, but I took it off. So that's going to be the last one for that. Conan the Barbarian is not on my pull list, but I picked this book up in particular because the girl who drew it lives in my city.
Nice.
So this was a local support sort of thing. So shout out to Danica, who's the girlfriend of Marvel artist Nick Bradshaw. Okay, this I had picked up was not on my pull list.
This is nice. I did buy this one. I'm gonna be honest with you. This is a cover I did buy online.
Speaking of Nick Bradshaw, who lives here, he did this cover, so I'll get him to sign that when I see him next. I also had to pick up the J. Scott Campbell cover of this.
Yeah.
Okay. Magic was on my pull list, but not this cover. So I got this cover. I got this cover.
That's a nice cover.
I got this cover, which all the kids want. It's the Marvel Rivals cover. I got this cover, and this was the one on my pull list. You know what I mean?
Nice.
So those are the pickups from the other day. Now, my comics were also late because of the Diamond fiasco. They don't show up until, well, they probably got their.
Then what the hell is then there's no problem then, right, Rob? Then what are we complaining about then? What are we worried about Diamond for then? If
I don't know why. I mean, worry about it when they shut down. That's when you worry about it. Because
Rob says that don't worry about Diamond, guys. They're going to survive. Everything's going to be roses.
Listen.
You have people.
I need to get a word in edgewise here. Listen,
please.
I'm with a publisher that deals with Diamond, so I have a little bit more inside knowledge. Okay, Diamond has no plans in shutting down. It's business as usual. They have assured Antarctic Press everything is moving. Everything's going to continue to move. So I wouldn't worry about anything until the fat lady sings. You know,
cool, man. Then what the hell are we all? What's all these videos about Diamond and
people don't understand
outbursts?
People don't understand what the different levels of different chapters of the bankruptcy code. They just hear bankruptcy and they immediately assume this is it. Things are going out of business. And of course, you have a certain amount of YouTubers that just spin sensationalism because it gets them
for money,
views and clicks, right? So you know how that plays, and that's why I've tried to go out whenever I hear people talking about it. I enjoy talking about it because I understand the difference. And like to educate people that there is a difference between them. Now, will they potentially sell off pieces of their business? There's talk that they could be selling off their UK gaming aspect of their business to help raise capital and stuff, but those things all have to be approved by the courts and everything else, and people who are owed money have to be paid. There's all kinds of things and rules that are in place that handle these things. But remember, depending upon your LCS will really depend upon how impacted they are by Diamond. My LCS is minimally impacted by anything that goes on with Diamond as far as shipping delays, because they only have them for the independents. They're big too. They have, obviously DC's not with Diamond anymore. So nobody's getting their DC from Diamond, but my LCS decided to get their Marvel through Penguin. So they're not reliant on that for Marvel either. So only time it's impacted, it only affects the independents.
It affects
IDW
me. That's
stuff.
who it affects. It
It
affects
does.
all
Got it.
publishers.
This is
like
amazing
Antarctic
knowledge.
Press.
Thank you, Rob. Rob, thank you for breaking that down for me, bro, because I've been watching just like everybody else has all these videos about Diamond and how it's gonna break LCSs. I've been seeing a lot of LCS shop owners complaining about their distribution and how it's hurting them and their sales. But you explained, I think, beautifully on how it relates to us, to consumer, what Diamond provides to the consumer.
It does
not
hurt,
your major
though.
DC titles. You're still going to get those
Yeah.
on Wednesday. Don't worry about that.
Shipment delays do hurt. Obviously, not just it hurts like Nyobi here with the small dealers or whatever, but it does hurt LCSs to a degree as well too. Because let's be honest, the majority of the new comic book day shoppers come in on Wednesday.
Yep.
Okay. And so if I come in and my LCS tells me, oh, hey, and it happens every once in a while, they tell me, hey, no image or no Diamond today. So we know anything that came in Diamond, no, not going to get today. They're saying the truck is expected to be here tomorrow or later today, this afternoon. So if I come back late in the evening, I could pick up my books, but it's another trip, or I have to come back another day. Or ends up what happening is I just go forget it, and I just pick them up when I come in on Wednesday the following week. Well, that's great for anything I have on a sub pool, but any of these impulse buys, now those are no longer in the new comic book day section. Now they're in the rest of the store, and I have to remember to go look around my shop. Now, fortunately, they do flag all the books that arrived last week when they put them on the shelf with the regular stuff that's not in this week's section. They flag it as this is shipped last week, so I can quickly search for it, but I have to remember to go do that now. And so it affects not just the LCS's revenue, but now it also affects the small Antarctic Press, whomever else who was reliant on some impulse buys maybe on a book, right?
Without Diamond, you're going to go into the comic book shop and all you're going to see is Marvel, DC, and Image for the most part, right? Diamond carries Dynamite, they carry Antarctic, they carry Zenoscope, they carry Titan Comics, they carry Scout, they carry pretty much every smaller publisher existence.
Yeah, I know, I get you, but after you said Dynamite, you kind of, you lost my interest after that. I'll be honest with you. Like what?
Right.
I don't know what Scout is doing right now. Like name me a Scout title that
it doesn't matter to you because you probably aren't interested in the big two. It matters to me because I'm a guy who needs my books in shops.
Get it right. But I mean, that's not my fault that Scout doesn't have anything good that's coming out.
Here's the other thing too, right? For me, Razor, I look at indie books a lot. That's my bread and butter, right? And if I don't have those indie books, it's even harder for me to go do Marvel covers and DC covers. You know how many people there are who's always applying? They're younger than me. They're faster too, right? So that's the thing I have to deal with. And they're more willing to take the cut, right? I'm not an Alex Ross where I can charge $1,000 or $2,000 for a cover.
So Diamond has them by the balls.
Pretty much that's what's happening. And the other thing too is I like collecting indie books. I like collecting like 2000 AD, which is a UK based stuff. I like picking up my Penthouse comics, right? Which I will not be able to do anymore. That's the thing. Now, the reason why I rely on the LCS is I'm a collector. I want to keep, because they know when they get the stuff in, they treat it properly. If I were just to order, like back in the days, if, the National Geographic magazine you get as a kid, right? That comes in folded and stuff like that. Because the idea is what do you think a Marvel will do to charge you to put a bunch of these in a, what do you call it? That folding box.
Let's just go back. They won't even do that because let's just go back a couple, 20 years.
Exactly.
I had a Marvel subscription. You know how my books came to me from Marvel?
Yeah.
They got slipped inside of a manila envelope.
That's right.
No backer board, no padding,
Yeah.
manila envelope. That's it. And that is a step up from the 50s and 60s where the books got folded in half and slipped inside of a slip cover. Hence, you have all these books with subscription creases.
Yeah.
But here's the more important thing about having a distributor and these independents and why it should matter, Razor, is let's take an analogy. And let's spin it to newspapers, right? Pretend for a second newspapers are still a thing. They too are battling with subscription needs and dwindling readership and everything else. And one of the reasons for that isn't just the advent that it's available online, but it's the loss of different voices, right? I live in the San Francisco Bay Area. There were at one time 13 different newspapers. Each one of those newspapers had a different owner providing a different voice. And so there were different points of view constantly being available to you in different perspectives. Over time, thanks to deregulation, rules and stuff allowed these things to be consolidated. The number of options went away. And now, while there may still be 8 or 9 different newspapers here in the San Francisco Bay Area, they're all owned by one company. So they all have one publisher's voice. And most of what they publish now, because they don't want to, they have dwindling circulations, everything else, and distribution, is stuff that they reprint from the New York Times or the LA Times or Reuters or whatever else. And so there's only a handful of actual local spins of this. You have a loss of different experiences and voices and different stories that can be told. So now there's less interest, which causes less people to read it, and then there's less. It goes. It's a downward spiral, right?
Yeah, that's
the same thing happens with comics. We lose a distributor, of these independents, and while you may not have an interest in it, they feed the big two. Whether it's creative artists and stuff that cut their teeth on the independents and get to work their way up and get involved with these big things, whether it's different voices or different ideas that get tested in these different markets and get to go up, big creators that get to do projects that are fun to them and truly get to do their passion pieces on the independents and get out there and allow them to be able to deal with the mundane. Let me write Batman for the 400th time, doing the same thing over and over again. My God, this character never grows. So these independents serve a far greater purpose than just simply being, something else to read.
Right. Let me ask you this, Rod. Such you do have some, background dealing with the bankruptcy, and you're able to give us a little bit of information and clarity. What do you think, or what does Diamond need to do? What's going to be their game plan in order to get out from where they're at, and then have distribution come every Wednesday and have these these issues being a non-issue anymore? How does Diamond bounce back? Are they going to get a funding of money from somebody going to come and just buy them out, or they pay their debt? Like, how does this work, man?
So typically, now, not having any insight into their finances, I have no clue, right? What I can tell you is that this puts what this does, it puts a hold on all their debtors, or creditors that they owe money to. Those people are all pulled together, and they now, under court supervision, are able to work on negotiating how they're going to get repaid, whether it be in full or whether it be partial, negotiating a partial payment, whatever. In the meantime, they're completely able to continue doing their business. And they do have some various limitations that are put on them with how they can spend money and what they can spend money on, but they're essentials of doing their traditional business. And the money that they're making right now doesn't necessarily have to go pay this past debt. And so they're able to continue to pay their current bills going forward. What ends up happening out of all this as they restructure stuff is depending upon what the courts and them and their creditors all decide. They may decide that, okay, you're going to seek an investor that's going to come in and have a partial ownership that's going to help settle this. Or you may have to spin off portions of your business to raise capital to do this. Or it may be something entirely different. It may just be that, they're going to sell off some property or that they have or something else, right? At some point, they have to raise some capital, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they have to sell off their business proper as it is. It may be that they, bring on the family has to bring on somebody else, and maybe they choose to sell. It's entirely different balls of wax and what they want to do. But
okay, so they don't have to necessarily sell and have somebody else completely take over.
No, not unless that's what the courts ultimately decide to say, hey, throughout this process, there's no good faith going on, and and some other ramifications can occur. I
But
mean,
more than likely, somebody's going to want to invest in them, and they're going to want to take over the operations and try to improve or what have you, right? Theoretically, they're not going to just want to help buy
oftentimes,
Diamond out for the love of the business.
oftentimes there's some sort of investment or loans or there's got to be some money come in to pay those old bills, whether it be an investor that joins as a partial owner or somebody who buys some capital that they have that they don't need for their main function, like spinning off a division. Let's say that they do game distribution in the UK and they choose to sell that off as a separate entity. They can potentially, or even the entire UK distribution end of it, they choose to sell that element and refocus in the US. They could do that. They could do, just bank loans. Even they could get some low interest loans that allow them to go ahead and pay and settle their existing debt, and then continue forward with showing a payment plan on how they're going to pay their going forward debts. Now, those are all things that are possible.
Hmm. Good good questions, man. Let's bring somebody in who's actually talked to people in the industry, who's talked to LCS shop owners, who knows a lot more about this than I do. Let me bring him on to the stage here. My guy from Beyond Wednesdays, Brian McClay. What to do, my guy? Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the fucking show.
Just
Good
come
to
to
see you, brother.
Yeah, man. Saw you guys were on, so I figured I'd come and hang out for a bit.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out. It's the night of my birthday. I'll be officially
Happy
46-year-old here in about 40 minutes. So, yeah, man. I got the
Nice.
suit on, got the
Yeah, I was
Godfather.
wondering why you were so decked out.
Yeah, hanging out, man. Hanging out with you guys. I'm glad to spend it with you. So, thanks for stopping by. Want to get your opinions. You heard Rod giving us some information about bankruptcy and how it works on the Chapter 11 side. I had just assumed, and from maybe just mishearing, and because I've been watching a lot of YouTube lately, of course, and we get misinformation. I just assumed that 90% of the time these businesses don't make it out of this Chapter 11. Rod just gave us some good information on that's not necessarily true, and that Diamond connects absolutely bounce back. Not to worry, continue to collect on Wednesdays. I wanted to get your feedback on that. What do you make about this whole Diamond? Can they bounce back? Is it helping LCS, hurting LCS owners? What's your whole take, man?
It changes day by day lately, but as of right now, I think that they're not coming back. They're just gonna try and they got that 41 million from Chase to pay off some of their debt while trying to stay open to pay off the rest of it.
That's a lot of
And
debt.
I think that they're pretty much screwed because they lost Image. They obviously lost DC and Marvel. Todd, kind of said he's gonna stay with them, and then a year of that, and they're no longer there. A lot of the people that I've talked to in the industry will say that, or have said that they don't think that they're coming back from this. There's a lot of people that say that they hope they come back from this, but they don't think they are. And if anything, I don't know about that type of shit. So I'm gonna, listen to what they have to say. And it was a pretty interesting conversation we had with, quite a few executives lately, both behind the scenes and on the show. And Ross Ritchie was on Tuesday night, and that was a very interesting take from him. And I think the biggest thing to think about is all those small publishers are kind of screwed, because from other rumors that I'm hearing is that Penguin Random House and Lunar are at full capacity distribution for comic books wise. That for the most part they're not bringing on new people, and that's obviously scary, because Antarctic Press. I know Ben Dunn, Niobe's with us. Ben Dunn put out that letter. His letter was very, very, half his glass empty type thing. And he was just being honest what he thought about it. So like, Antarctic Press, Zenoscope, Massive just left and said they're no longer going to do anything with Diamond. And, all those small publishers are really going to be screwed.
So
Even
somebody
Image,
else
they were
came on.
distributing internationally through Diamond. My shop can't get Image Comics right now because Image stopped giving Diamond their business, right? So now they have to find some other way to get Image Comics into the shop. And by the way, I go to the washroom and we're joined by Brian McClay, man. What's up?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
I came back to, like, I'm hearing Brian in the background. I was like walking back from the washroom, like, oh shit, I need to rush back over and say hello to Brian,
Yeah,
So,
man,
Brian,
this is crazy.
let me ask you this, man. Even if somebody else were to come on and take over Diamond, would that pretty much solve the issue where a lot of,
I don't think so. And
independent-
here's why. Diamond lost all the big accounts. All those big accounts are gone. Even if somebody came back, those big accounts are going to be like, okay, let's go back. Those big accounts are gone. And those big accounts were, a huge part of their, business when it came to comics. Now, listen, I think Rob might have mentioned it. I jumped on right as he was finishing. And if you didn't, let me know. But, they have many other facets of business other than comic books. That Alliance Gaming is a huge facet. Hake's Auction, all those things are like the juicy gems that are they're probably going to be sold off to pay debtors or, figure out a way to keep them somehow. But those are much more than their comic book distribution, part. Comic books, I think, are done with Diamond for the most part. From what we think about distributing the smaller publishers, I think they're done.
Wow, there you go.
If it happens, I mean, there's a chance it does. Then the hope is that somebody else comes along, because even if it's not the big two, remember before Diamond, there was a number of publishers out there. Diamond did this whole thing of consolidating everybody up and creating this monopoly until during pandemic, people said, oh, this monopoly thing's not a good thing. One company shut us down. Harumph. Let's do something about it.
Here's the other problem. I'll go when you're done.
No, I was wrapping up. So now, the big two were able to spin off their own thing, but the others, now maybe something else has to come along. That's all.
So let's play worst case Ontario. Okay. And in worst case
Ontario, I like that.
Yeah, I stole the line from the Trailer Park Boys. But worst case Ontario says Diamond goes under. Small publishers like the one I'm with no longer have a home. So what happens then? Well, they're going to have to set up their own shops, online shops, and most of them, if not all of them, are going to have to crowdfund everything they do now. So if you're a guy who goes in the shop and you like buying Scout, Antarctic, and Massive,
nobody does,
and whoever, right? Now you're going to have to buy these things off of crowdfunding, which means you're paying a shipping cost every time you order a book from a different publisher, and you're paying a premium now because they're not going to be selling them for $4.99. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's going to be it's a death knell for a lot of these smaller publishers. It's a bummer.
It's a bummer, man, and that's capitalism, right? What are you going to do? Yep. You got to figure it out. You got to find another way to evolve to get your book out there. You can't rely on Diamond. I mean,
and the other thing is, I don't know about you guys that if you've talked to like your retailer friends, but shout out to Billy over at Economics and Comics. He's been for the last like 6 months very, very vocal about the type of customer service he's been getting from Diamond as of late, and that's been going on for a long time, and they're getting ready to come back, and they got that $41 million to still do business, and try and get some of these books out. But that's not, he made a good point the other day when he said they're not going to continue. They're not going to all of a sudden be a better company now that,
Right.
they're going to, if anything,
Same
be worse.
practices.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
makes sense. Right. See, and my thinking was that, okay, well, when I was talking to Rod was, well, look, somebody can come along, maybe buy him out, take over, understand the hobby side, and can reach out and grab some of these accounts back. And then, all of a sudden you got new management, you got a new ownership. There's new people running new ways of how to get your books out there. But you're saying that even if that happens, that the taste in the mouth has been soured so much that nobody is going to come back, no matter who you bring on and what type of ownership or new leadership you have in place. It's just at the point where we're moving on, and we rather just figure it out than
If
deal with
there's
it.
an option.
yeah. I
That's
think
the problem. Is you have to have an option in order to move on.
exactly, Rob. You're 100% right. So, and what is that option, right? There's a lot of people coming up with their own ideas, and I saw like Jen King is bringing up her Plan C thing again, and I've heard rumors that some of the smaller publishers might try and look into creating something together.
Really?
Yeah,
That'd be cool, man. If they can actually work together and figure out a way to actually do that, the logistics behind it, that'd be amazing, man.
Yeah, I mean, who's to say that somebody like Nick Berucci at Dynamite can't try and create some type of distribution guild, or for the smaller C, D, E, and F publishers, where they all come together and they try to create something. But we all know how that works in this world when you got a bunch of comic guys and industry guys that are trying to put something together. Some people just aren't very good at that. And
yeah, but
too
it'll
many
force
cooks
your
in the
hand at this
kitchen,
point.
It's a bad thing.
Yeah, but your hand will get forced at this point, right? If you're forced in the corner where you don't have an option, Diamond is now gone. It'll actually make those lines a little bit easier to cross, those hands easier to shake, because now you have to work together. You don't have an option. So
Yeah.
I think that I'm not saying it's a good thing, but I think it will force some of these creators and publishers to actually work together because they don't have an option. So capitalism, baby.
Well,
We'll
I mean,
see.
all it means for me is I get really more competitive now on Kickstarter. Like that's what's going to happen here.
well,
Yeah,
I think
and you see a bigger push from the independents more and more. I mean, there's already a push from the independents for digital, but you're going to see a greater push for more digital from them as well too.
yeah. Well, we've been talking pretty heavy about crowdfunding comics. There's been this big, push to talk more about comics that are being crowdfunded in, let's say, the last year, 6 months, maybe. Just because we've seen some of the bigger, projects really take off. The Mark Spears craziness, Coffin Comics doing their Coffin launch thing.
Yeah.
In America does 100 grand campaigns for a joke now.
Whatever is being talked about in those areas, I think that's where we're going to see some innovation happen, right? Maybe some more. And is it going to be bad if some of these publishers are forced to distribute themselves? I don't know if it can even happen. I don't know if it's possible. A lot of these guys, especially
It's
a lot of
possible, man. It's got to be, like Rod was saying there earlier, when the papers had different. It wasn't just a couple of publishers doing. You had multiple publishers put. So I mean, if the goddamn newspapers could figure it out, man, the fucking comic book.
Well, you have to understand when the newspapers had it that way, because I was using an analogy different of the loss of voices. The newspapers up until the 80s, it was law that somebody could not own more than one newspaper or one new television or one radio station within a given market. That was the law until deregulation in the 80s. And that's when we had the consolidation and the loss of voices. And then with that loss of voices, then began the dwindling subscriptions because you no longer had a variety of different voices. I knew people that used to subscribe to at least two different papers, at least on Sundays and stuff, because they wanted to get different points of view. You can't do that now.
Yep.
Especially when your local paper just prints the New York Times or the LA Times anyways. And so now there's like, what, 2 points of view in the entire country? Well, gee, where have we heard that before?
Yeah.
It's always been about distribution. I mean, that's where the money's at, man. It's getting the product on the shelf. It's always been about distribution, no matter where you go, from selling dope to selling comic books.
Creating a demand and being able to distribute to satisfy the demand. Either one of those breaks down, and it's a cascading failure.
Well, what's interesting? Think about this. Think about, let's just say, I don't know, 15 years ago, how many more comic shops and places to put those books on shelves there were, right? There was, let's say, be conservative and say at least 5,000 comic shops nationwide. You had all the Borders and Barnes and Nobles and all the big bookstores that would get a couple of comic book series every month. You had these places. Now we're lucky if there's 1,200 brick and mortar LCSs in the country, and that's a big problem. And it goes to saying, like Rob was talking about, everything is pushing to this digital thing. And I'm not just saying reading comics digitally. I'm saying buying digitally. Your storefront is digital, and you don't have to worry about that, as a smaller market. But because everything is moving there, it's forcing some of those bigger publishers or publishing house distribution models to start using that. They're being forced to.
It's the people like Razor who don't want to go into their LCS, and so they just want to order online, and then they buy it from one of these mega stores and have their stuff just sent to them, that are causing this. It's all your fault, Razor. You're the reason this Diamond went out of business.
There's always a domino
We've
effect.
settled it.
And whatnot.
Hey, I'm just being honest, man.
No. I'm being facetious, obviously.
No, I get it, but that's what my experience has been with comic book shop. That's what my daughters, when I get the feedback from them, when we go out and we go hunting and they're hanging out with me, the experience is that they try and they just don't like the experience in the comic book shop. It's not the product or what's on the shelves. It's the experience of going into these comic book shops. It's for the younger crowd, that 20-year-old crowd. They rather sit in the car than go with me to a comic book shop. And coincidentally, they would rather go to the dollar store or Five Below, where you can get comic books, right? Doesn't matter if they're reprints or what print it is, or if it's an older comic or what have you. They have more fun doing that shopping because of the environment's more friendly. There's items there that you can pick up, like candy and toys, the same thing you can at the comic book shop. The only difference is that they rather pick those up at the dollar store, at Five Below, than actually go into the friggin' LCS, just because of the experience. So that's an issue with the comic book, the LCS, not with distribution and getting your books on the shelf.
I love this, Razor. You get a great job of coming right back around to the beginning of where I came on. This must be where I get off then.
Just don't get off on camera.
There you go. I try.
Yeah, the biggest problem is elimination of product in newsstands, grocery and toy stores. Man, I think you're absolutely right, Comic Journey. Once eliminating actually getting your comic book at the grocery store, at 7-Eleven, I remember picking up comic books as a kid, and nowadays kids still like hanging out at 7-Eleven, QT.
Well, if I was Diamond and I bounce back, one of the things that would be on my mandate is this deal where we only provide to LCSs is over. We will provide to anyone that wants to ship and hold these comics.
Yeah.
That'd be mandate number one. Mandate number two, we got to fix our fucking shipping problems, boys. Okay. No damaged comics, or at least minimum damage comics, and get them on time. You can look after those two mandates, you can bounce back pretty hard.
definitely
like
the gateway element to comic book interest is definitely diminished. Is an issue, because like you said, for many of us when we got into comics, yeah, you not only could you pick them, where was the accessibility, right? You could pick them up at all kinds of locations. I mean, hell, I worked at a goddamn music store and we sold comic books,
Yes.
but you don't even have fucking music stores anymore. So, but those were there. They popped up in places. So there were impulse buys, something caught your eye. I mean, that's how I got into comics, was a newsstand spinner rack in my college bookstore, and a shiny Spider-Man 2099 #1 just caught my attention. Right. But it wasn't just the availability where it was, but it was also the ability to easily purchase that book at a price, as we've talked about, right? The cost of a book, how it has escalated in price since 1990 versus what it had over the previous 80 years is mind-numbing. I mean, you think about it, you go back to, you can go from 1930 to 1960, books were 10 cents. From 1960 to 1970, they were 12 cents. From 1970 to 1978 or whatever, they were 15 cents. And then you start getting this all of a sudden 30 cents, 35 or 25 cents, 30 cents, 35 cents, 80, 75 cents, $1, $1.25, $1.50. And then boom, $2, $2.99, $4.99. I mean, it was just like, or $3.99, $4.99, $5. Now it's just like, oh my God, we're just jumping so ridiculously that it's a kid. If you want to talk about the inflation, people talk about all the time the cost of $1 inflation, a child's allowance. What if I go mow the lawn? Did I get paid enough to go buy a couple comic books and maybe maybe some candy? In the 50s, 60s, sure. How about now, today? If I mow the lawn, nobody's paying me. My parents aren't going to pay me $15, $20 to mow the lawn. I mean, I don't, at least not in my house. My neighborhood, my lawn is pretty small. I live in the suburbs, but maybe if I live out in Tennessee where the lawn is 2.5 acres, but still.
Yeah. And it's the inconvenience too, a lot of times. I mean, especially out here, like, Phoenix and a lot of other big cities. And you mentioned earlier, Rod, just the inconvenience where you're trying to get, you have to go to your LCS in order to get new comic book day, new comic books.
I'm
Some of
sorry
these LCSs are hard to find. You got to go around a corner, down some stairs. You know what I mean? So the inconvenience of just trying to get your books.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Razor. I just want to point out one thing, because it's been about 12 or 15 times in a row. It's spelled right here. It's Rob.
Rob, excuse me, Rob. Rob, I'm sorry. I'm stoned, man. Rob, my bad. I apologize, brother. I didn't mean disrespectful.
No, I know. It's after 12, 15 times, it's like, okay, no.
Yeah, no, I thank you
Rob.
for correcting me. I'm sorry to be disrespectful, but my guy, I apologize. But it's just the inconvenience of actually going to get your comic books, man. Having to fucking, go around the corner, go down some steps. Whereas if you can get them at your Circle K, you can get them at your 7-Eleven, it's easier to pick up. But then you're introduced to the comic book, and then maybe you want to give it a chance to go down that dark alley, and give your chance going inside that comic book store. But yeah, it is an inconvenience of actually getting out there to the comic book store.
Let me ask you a question, Razor.
Picking them up.
You're in the Dollar Tree, you see Batman for $1.25, or you're at the comic book shop and Batman is $5. Which one are you more likely to pick up? The cheaper one, right? It's $1.25. Well, everyone's got $1.25. Well, in fact, I could buy 2 or 3 of them. You know what I mean? For $5 for the price of one, right? And so if we're able to lower the price, and I don't know if we can, but if we're able to lower the price even just a bit, get these things out into, it doesn't have to be like, every corner store, but even in just a bookstore for and have a section, it's a shelf of floppies or whatever, or a spinner rack, would go a long, long way in moving these things around.
Yeah. I mean, I get the other side of it, unfortunately, like, especially for a shop. Like, again, I live in the San Francisco Bay Area. My shop, I can't even imagine what their overhead is by the time you factor in, their square footage, the rents here in the Bay Area combined with, California, even if they're paying minimum wage, for their employees and such, paying benefits, all these other things that go into running a business, your insurance, blah, blah, blah. And you're getting the books and, maybe their cost is what, maybe half, if they're lucky. They're making a 50%. They're getting to. Now I know that my LCS, they complain all the time about some of these foil ones where the damn foil books they're buying them basically at cover price from the distributor. But by the time they get their landed cost, the cost of the book plus the shipping that they have to deal with on that, the profit margins on these things are low for new comic books. I mean, that's why the shops do all the other things, right? The new comic books are almost a necessary evil, but it's the back issues, it's the games, it's all the other stuff.
New comic books
that makes you
coming to the door. The money comes from the stock they already have.
Right?
What I mean?
Yeah, the new comic books they just keep bringing is a reason to keep bringing me back in every single week, so that I buy comic book supplies, so that I buy this, I buy that. So that way people who are nice and want to support their LCS go out of their way to buy what incentive variants am I picking up this week. So that way, and I'll pay the extra money because I want to support my LCS, right?
Yeah. I got you.
Well,
that's a tough sell. It's a tough sell.
I think the other thing, you were kind of talking about how to get more people into that comic book store and this and that. You can't be just a comic book store anymore. You got to be a collectible store. You got to be a pop culture store. And one of the good things that's going on right now that we've talked about before also, but it's even crazier now because they've announced a one-shot comic book is Marvel Rivals. And,
yes,
I think that's a big play to keep an eye on is the Marvel Rival stuff. I'm hoping that that one-shot comic book is, get some love and maybe we start seeing more comic book stuff.
Yeah, man, it's amazing how a video game would having more impact on these comic book spec and introducing
this cover
people to
sold
the
out.
hobby
I was
than-
lucky to even get one. You know what I mean? My
Yeah, more
LCS
than-
guy put one away from me knowing I played the game, right?
Yeah.
Really, that's awesome, bro.
Because they were sold out. Because I asked, because one guy at the LCS said, "No, Larry, we can't get you when they're already sold." But my other buddy who worked there secretly put one away from me already, right? So I was able to get that. And I know there's going to be lots of kids who play the game who never read a comic book might actually see this and go, "Oh, I main Magic in the game. I'll buy her book." You know what I mean? And then I get to read about this character for the first time that I actually am really good with in the video game.
Yeah, that's
This is a
dope,
smart
bro.
move. Very smart move.
Big time.
It is, man, and it's actually attracting more people to the hobby than the damn movies have been. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like more
100%.
kids are playing video games than they are watching the MCU cinematic universe. You
You
know what I
put
mean?
Jeff the Land Shark on a comic book right now, that's going to sell out. You put Luna Snow on the cover of a comic book right now, that's probably going to sell out. You know what I mean?
Fortnite
Right.
did pretty well, even though I tear them up every time I get one. But somebody likes them and is buying them, obviously.
There you go.
And I like you, CJ. I like that idea. Let's bring back newsprint. Let's do it.
There's no printers that really do newsprint anymore. Peter Samedi,
know.
who ran Alterna Comics, was doing newsprint, and then they stopped because they couldn't find anyone to do it anymore.
Wouldn't it be cool though if every facsimile that was being done was printed on newsprint? At least the ones that were printed on newsprint originally. Let's stop the modern new reprints and facsimiles. Only print Bronze Age and older, and print them all on newsprint paper like they were intended. Please, let's do that.
Yeah, that'd be sick, man.
Make my comics smell good again.
Make my comics smell good again.
No, I mean, yeah, you guys made some interesting points. I'm glad that I have Rob on here to correct me on everything from bankruptcy to his name. So thanks, Rob, for helping me out, man. You know what happened was, bro, let me show you guys something. I'm going to be honest with you guys right now, since it's my birthday here in about 9 minutes. Here's what happened, Rob. I'm not going to lie to you, bro, because this is literally the first time I've ever done this, and I feel embarrassed about doing it. So let me show you what happened, what the culprit is here. These are yummy gummies. And
You
they
get
are.
one?
I'll put it up as
You bringing
close
up for
as I
everybody?
These are, you have to have a medical license to get these in the state because of the potency. These are not a 10 McClay. These are not 15. These are not 20. These are not 25. These are not 30. These are 30. These are 50 milligrams a piece.
Wow.
And I had 2 of these before I came on the show. So I apologize right now again, Rob, my man. I've never done that before, but I am pretty
good, brother.
toasty right now. So
Nice.
again,
He's
my
like, I got to
apologies.
deal with Larry tonight. I need to get stoned for this shit.
Let me tell you how this works, Razor. I got my birthday's in 4 days, so you can hook me up, brother.
Oh, happy birthday, brother.
Happy birthday, bro. So yeah, I shouldn't have took 2 of them, to be honest with you. They're 50 each, so that's a hundo. And then I've been hitting my bongs. So man, thank you for bearing with me and not being a dick about it.
Razor,
Watch
did
out.
you
If
bring
your
enough
hey,
for
if your
everybody?
name's is right now, guys, if your name is Doritos, fucking
Whoa.
go hide because Razor's coming for you.
I got hot wings, bro, from Corleone's.
Oh,
I'm gonna pass
nice.
out with my fucking suit on and the hot wing, the sauce
Razor, I
all
gotta
over
ask
it.
you for
Buffalo
a
sauce.
favor. Razor, I gotta ask you a favor. Can we see Locke's card? I'm dying to see this thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. My bad.
Oh, yes, brother. I love it.
Beautiful, bro. Man, yeah. So make sure you back the Kickstarter. You can get these
Sold.
with Nyobi issue number 4.
That's mine. That's
Yeah,
coming
brother.
home to Papa. Okay.
You're getting everyone. I just drew it so you guys could see what
It's
the card
hard
would
for
look
me
like.
for someone to have something in Nyobi that I don't have.
Right.
Bugs me.
That's sick, bro. And Locke has like his own style, man. You know what I mean? That unique fucking badass.
Well, look, he
pose
just
type
gave me
shit.
this idea too. Like maybe the next time we have Locke do a set, like we just have a theme, like it's all Japanese themed or something. It'd be like really
Yeah.
cool, man.
Yeah, hell yeah, bro. Yeah, I got a Sonic card on the way that
Yeah.
shout out Mad Monkey Lock, man, Instagram. He fucking sent that out to me today. So I'm looking forward to that Sonic card coming in, bro. 1 of 1. Gonna give that to my daughter, bro. So thanks, Lock. Again, man. You're a good man, brother. Appreciate
I
you.
want to ask
very
Brian
nice,
a
Brian.
question. Brian, I don't know if you watched the whole show, but me and Locke had unveiled the set of 5 original trading cards that we're offering on the campaign. You as a big card guy, would something like that excite you? Like, oh shit, there's only going to be 5 of these cards. They're in these nice cases. They're going to be signed by both the artist and the creator. You think, like I'm going to try this on my next campaign. I'm just wondering, like, you think that might spice things up a bit? Would that interest someone like you?
I'm always interested in, extras like that. Cards are always a cool extra for Kickstarter.
I'm talking original art card. Like there's only
Right.
5 of them, and you're
Sketch
gonna
card.
own one.
Oh,
of them.
only 5 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very cool. I like that. I think that's
Did you
very
see them?
cool.
They're really sweet, man.
How
Yeah.
are they add-ons or
They're gonna be their own tier. So you're gonna
They're
get
gonna be
the
their own
card
tier.
plus the book.
that's cool. I
At
like
least
that.
that's what I'm thinking right now. But I'm open to your suggestions. Like should I offer them as a set of 5 and just like one person gets all 5, or put them in individually?
No, I would not offer them as a set to all one person. Did you ever think of creating a tier where that tier is you have a chance at getting one of those 5 cards, and then everybody else gets actual like repos of those 5 cards? Could you have like a 5 card set printed for cheap enough to where you can charge $10 a set, and then the 5 original art cards get randomly sent out to one of those
I
people?
mean,
in
that's
that
a
tier?
hell of an interesting idea, dude. You sort of like I would have to talk to Locke about that to see if that's a path we want to go down. Right now, the initial
I
thing
know
was
it's your campaign, so
I know, but
yeah.
Because there's only 5 of them, bro. You know what I mean? So
and that's what I want
fucking
to do is like,
give
we're
it
not
a
even going to
chance
reprint
somebody,
these, right?
to get their
That's
like
what's
a
going to really
lottery
make them
kind of-
special is not reproduced, right? That's sort of the thing.
Yeah, the original art, right? So
Can we
each
show
card-
Brian? I got it up on the screen. I want to show Brian
man,
these
of
cards,
course.
man.
Yeah.
Let's get the cards back up. 1 sec, brother.
What do you think, Brian?
Oh, nice.
Because
Oh,
come with
yeah.
the
Yeah,
case
I like the
and the whole
case,
deal.
man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do like the case too. Yeah.
Right.
It's a
That's
nice
the
little
Adana
set.
one. So like it's going to be featuring different characters from Nyobi, right? And there's only 5 of them, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The 6th
Yeah,
one,
right,
that's just a
TJ?
personal one.
Yeah, I like the
There's
chance
all-
idea too, man.
There's the back. So like I would sign the top here. We got the code for Locke, and then Locke's signature down here, and it says Nyobi and like 1 of 1. You know what I mean?
That's fucking
cool.
sick, dude.
Yeah.
That's sick, bro.
And then I'm gonna have other artists, Brian. Like I'm gonna try and get like some of the other guys I work with, to try and like just do their own set of cards. And every time we run a campaign, there's gonna be an artist set of cards. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, man.
You gotta shout out to Locke. Like he made this awesome label and stuff. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah, man. That's fucking sick.
What like
See,
great at CGC cards, like.
Yeah, we can figure that out. We can figure out how to fucking distribute our own comics, right?
Well, that's how I started. I mean, losing distribution would suck, but it doesn't stop me. We've been doing Kickstarter for a decade, We'll continue to do so.
And then you got Comic Journey that just came out with his project too. And he has his own ideas behind it too, brother. Your whole anthology series, I think there's 4 of them coming out. So that's cool, man. You know what I mean? It's cool to see people in the comic book community like CJ, like fucking Nyobi doing their own thing, and then actually bringing it to life. That's cool, man, that you guys are having your own spin to it. You know what I mean? There's Nyobi with his cards, you with your anthology series. So shout out to you guys, man, for making it happen, bro. Congratulations, man. This is awesome.
It's the comic book world, man. There's many facets, from collectors to creators to publishers to distribution to convention showrunners to shop owners. It's all out here.
Yeah, that's awesome, bro. And that's a good thing that there's an avenue like Kickstarter, bro. That's there for you, fucking. That's that we all know about. And once it's
without
dropped,
Kickstarter, I would have no book. It's that simple.
Exactly, man. So shout out to you guys for making this shit happen, brother. That's fucking. It's not easy. Like I was talking to Nyobi earlier. I was trying to get some information. How much does it take to actually do this type of idea? It's just kind of a hobby that you got to put money behind because it's like gambling. So how much money do you actually have to do to put behind a Nyobi one or an issue?
And the answer is about $6,000.
Well, $6,000, man, to put a fucking.
And that's doing it on the cheap end, right? And so when I run a campaign, not only do I need to make that $6,000 to cover the cost, I need to make another $6,000 to essentially print and ship the books, and then it'd be nice to have another $6,000 to put towards the next book. So you need about $18,000 to really make that work, so that like the money cycles back into the project. You're not paying out of your own pocket. Everything's covered. Plus, you may have a few dollars on the side, which is nice, and then you go right into the next one.
Yeah, exactly. And even if you're getting funded by Kickstarter, you're still putting yourself out there. It's not, it's still a gamble. You're hoping that it's, something that does take and that your idea behind it, it's interesting and everybody fucking like, oh, it's a cool idea. I'll fucking give this guy money to get this fucking comic book. You know what I mean? Yeah. So there's a lot more behind it than just saying, oh yeah, let me write down this story and invent these characters and fucking somebody will eventually figure out how
that is how it starts, though. You come up with an idea, you make some characters, you get your friends together, and you put out a book. And then at that point, do you carry on? Do you push forward? Or, some people will make a comic book and they're just like, yeah, I did it. I got to say I did it, and they're done. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Right. Yeah, it's that continued success. That longevity, man, that keeps it going. So that's
just marked off an item off the bucket list, and they're on the next thing, next challenge.
Yeah. So shout out, bro. Congratulations, guys. It's good to see you guys doing that, man. Brian, you got anything coming out? Anything new that you want to talk about, brother? I know you got fucking your show every weekend. Anything else you want to talk to us about before we get out of here?
Nope. I've been approved to go on eBay Live, so finally going to start that eBay Live. Yeah, should be hopefully doing my first show Sunday, and so I'm going to start hitting that as much as possible. I recently picked up that recent collection, so I'm adding a bunch of new stuff to my stores. And if there's anybody looking for huge runs of, recent stuff like, Venom runs or Thor runs, Hulk runs, stuff like that, I got a lot of that stuff. Picked up a bunch of action figures and stuff like that too. So going to start really getting into the selling game as much as I can in the next, couple weeks.
Are you, hey Brian, are you doing the Whatnot stuff still, or?
Yes. Yep. Still doing Whatnot. Gonna do both. Gonna try and do at least one sale of each week. and gonna continue to keep that active. And
If you want, because I do sketch covers on the whatnot, if you want one of those nights to me to be a co-host, and if you want to do a giveaway, let me know, because I can use some users to increase on that. I can jump on there too. Right.
Yeah.
So,
hell yeah.
We can do that.
Look at that, man. So I
There you
love it, bro. The community coming together, right?
Like,
Hell
Ro-
yeah.
Rob, my guy, Rob Fat Stacks, because I know you've been on here. It's been a long night. Let's get you out of here, bro. What do you got going on before we get out of here? Comic Curing Cancer. Make sure you guys support him. Sub up.
Yeah, there's a lot of for that aspect. Obviously, I did just drop a video this evening because my Thursday video was late. What could be probably one of the goddamn best mystery boxes I've ever gotten, and I didn't pay a penny for it. It's the Comics Joy box. Somebody nominated me to receive it. Somebody who puts these boxes together and sends out to people who do either really need them or people who are doing things in the community to foster positive vibes in the community. And it was a stellar box. So you might check that out. Obviously, Saturday, I got Only Slabs. We have the Comics Queen coming on the show. Only our second female, but somebody else showing us that, yes, women do collect slabs. And that's good to have, get that out there, let people know. And of course, Comics Curing Cancer, we are launching the 2026, January 31st, over on Fable and his amazing friends will be doing a special, doing our first event for Comics Curing Cancer for the year over on his channel. We're going to be pushing out more information about that shortly. We're launching a new website this year for Comics Curing Cancer that the ACS is set up and it's sponsoring and covering it for us, where the payments still go directly into their hands. It doesn't pass through ours, but will allow us to do more things instead of just collect money. We'll be able to have items on display, be able to even run live auctions from there, with everything going directly to the ACS still. So you can always go to the that link still gets you there. You can always go to the link tree, linktr .ee/Comics Curing Cancer for the latest links and everything else. So
right on, brother.
Yeah, things are in the works, man. We're trying to get everything ready for, obviously our big official kickoff is usually at Heroes Con, where we'll have some announcements leading up to that with some, the 2025 art book is in progress. And then hopefully hopefully at least one exclusive that we're trying to get lined up. So we'll be tuning in. We'll be doing announcements about that as it comes.
People love the art books, man.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. Nyobi, what do you got for us, my guy, before we get out of here?
Man, like I said, Valentine's Day, that's going to be Kickstarter launch. For those that are interested in the cards that we showed, that's going to be the time. You're going to want to be like, as soon as that thing goes live and you want those cards, I probably recommend being there. Plus, we're going to have great comics. We got John Stintsman doing a cover, Keith Garvey, Zenoscope fame, Narcilio Souza. I got a nice long list. The legend Ben Dunn is with us once again, riding high, So lots of good things coming down the pipe. Savage Sin, I'm mailing out right now to the backers. Gorgeous comic there. And, we'll truck forward no matter what life throws at us in 2025.
Right on, brother. And before I get out of here, of course, I'm going to drop what I got going on in the bottom, but I want to just thank everybody who showed up. You guys know that I don't know shit about comic books, right? I'm a stoner. This is my journey. I actually fucked up a couple of times calling Rob, and vice versa. As you can see, I'm doing it again. So I just want to thank everybody who has patience with me, like Rob, like Brian, like Nyobi, like everybody who comes here, spends their time, takes time out of their day at the end of the night and a long day to actually hang out with a small channel like mine. And you, the comic book gurus who stop by, put up with me. It's my birthday tonight. I'm actually 46 years old as of now. It's midnight here in Arizona. So I want to thank you guys, man. I can, shout out my show and all that good shit. Check me out Saturday. But I just want to take the time out to really thank you guys, the comic book community. I do fumble. I do give takes that are not right, that are not accurate. And I appreciate when I can have Rob on. I appreciate when I can have Brian on. When I have Nyobi, Locke, and they take time out of their day to come here, people in the chat like Lisa, like Comic Journey, Derek, everybody who takes time out of their day to actually help me out, to correct me, and not be dicks about it, to be totally cool about it. And I got to be honest with you guys, this is an amazing community. I really appreciate it. And I know that I've said some things, I've made some mistakes along the way. And I want to thank you guys for bearing with me. And I promise you, I will get better. I will get better. You deserve it. I will promise I will get better. And I thank you for hanging in there. We'll bring you some better content, some more fun content. Thank you again for enjoying your night. We'll see you on Saturday. Until next time, check you later.
Some say love, it is a razor that leaves your soul to bleed.